That's right. He's got all the fancy moves.
He's got fancy moves, and we're looking for a great game here tonight in front of a big audience at Air Canada Centre. Let's go downstairs now to Paul.
Thank you, Joe. Les Bartley keeping Paul and Gary Gate out of the low slot is going to be a challenge even for this defensive tough Toronto Rock team.
Yeah, there's no doubt they're two of the greatest players in the world, and they're always a handful. You get two of them together, and they're a bigger handful.
Last meeting between these two teams on New Year's Eve, your club with a 5-goal lead in the third period. You go on to lose the game. How much is that motivation here tonight?
Well, it's part of the motivation here tonight, and also we're treating this game as a playoff game. It gives us, an advantage on them if we beat them here tonight by more than 1 goal, and that's what we're looking to do.
Thanks, Les. Good luck this evening.
Okay, Paul.
Les Bartley, head coach of the Toronto Rock, and they are set to take on the Washington Power, and so too are we. The opening face-off on Sportsnet is coming up.
Molson Export Rock Lacrosse, brought to you by Molson Export. Had X today? By the new Chevy Silverado Heavy Duty by Chevy Trucks. And by McDonald's. We love to see you smile.
Impressions are important. What you drive says a lot about who you are. Make a statement. Choose a quality pre-owned luxury vehicle from Select Auto Imports. Our new expanded facility features a grand selection of carefully screened, gently used, immaculate motor cars. Make your statement. Come experience for yourself the selection of luxury, the luxury of Select.
Ever wonder how to get a gig like this? By the Learn by Doing hands-on training that has placed thousands from coast to coast. Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting. 1-800-TV Radio. How did these people get the best seats in the house? By the Learn by Doing hands-on training that has placed thousands from coast to coast. Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting. 1-800-TV Radio.
For many kids, growing up can be tough. That's why Nike and the NHL are taking hockey to the streets. In NHL cities all over North America, Nike NHL Street offers thousands of kids the chance to learn how to play the game, how to work together, and how to have fun, all in a safe environment. To get more information on Nike NHL Street, call 1-800-929-PLAY.
Scores and highlights are only half the story. Oh, my goodness! Now, the nightly show that delivers more coverage. Oh, man! More analysis.
This team has unity.
More opinions.
This one's just too good to be true.
Plus, live interaction where you get to sound off.
How did this show get out of control?
Our team covers the sports scene like you've never seen.
What a hit!
The National Sports Report at 10 and midnight on HTS. Miss it, miss out.
What's it like to be 7 and hear your doctor say the word cancer? Out of the darkness comes something beautiful, a wish come true, bringing hope and laughter and a reason to keep fighting a very grown-up battle. What's it like to help? Just call us at Make-A-Wish Foundation, because there's nothing like the power of a wish.
And tonight, the National Lacrosse League and the Toronto Rock go interactive. You can dial us in by going www.ctvsportsnet.com to chat with National Lacrosse League referee Bill Fox about all the rules and irregularities of this great game of lacrosse. And we're just about set for the opening face-off. And so, too, Joe Bowen and Brian Shanahan. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Paul, and welcome to the Air Canada Centre. And home floor has been delicious to the Toronto Rock since arriving here from Hamilton. As you get a look at the starting netminders here tonight, Bob Watson, he has a record of 3-1 and a 7.84 goals against average. As we take a look at our Chevy matchup, and it's a big one.
Yeah, Terry Bullen, and lucky he's a big man. He's going to be covering the other big man, Gary Gate, and he's going to need some backup.
The keys to the win, the Yamaha game story.
Well, this is what Toronto has to stop the fast break, especially those Gates coming off the bench. They've got to minimize the Gates. They're going to score, but they got to minimize them, cover them as much as possible. face-offs, Washington is strong on the face-offs. Beat them badly last time. They've got to do a better job of that, at least 50%. And on the power play, they got to click 50%. Washington wants, it's to their advantage to play wide open, fast break. They got to draw some penalties because they have a great power play. And on the power play, they got to get some goals out of Hubbard and Shear because the Rock's going to try to shut down the gates on the other side. And they have to shoot on the outside and spread out that Rock defense.
Kevin Dolly, who had a great season in Victoria with the Shamrocks this summer, gets the start in goal. He's been splitting time with Eric Miller. He's 2-1. And there's Bob Watson, 3-1, 7.84 his goals against average. As we look at the crew chief, who is Dave Berman of Boston. Roy Condon of Boston, along with Grant Spies of Elora, are the referees. Brent McCauley of Brampton, who is the nephew of John McCauley, former National Hockey League referee, and a great lacrosse enthusiast, is here tonight.
And his late uncle was a great name in lacrosse in Brampton.
Pretty good coach, too.
Yeah, they still talk about him a lot. There's a lot of stories about him.
Yes, there are, both in lacrosse and in hockey. As Sims brings the ball up now for Washington. Gets it into the corner, working out in front with a quick shot. Taken there was Gary Gate, and it went wide. The Rock turn the ball over and bring it back. Glad you're along with us here on CDV Sportsnet.
The Rock dodged the bullet there already. Gary Gate got open pretty easily there.
Toth gets it down low for Dan Stroop. Stroop trying to work inside. Looks over the top. Now tries to pull his way to the front. The pass is gobbled up and turned over, and out come Washington with it. Quickly brought up the floor by Doddridge. Neil Doddridge holding off and is going to head to the bench and get a change of players going here quickly. Joe Hiltz decides to set it up top again. Jeff Willis trying to make a move with it. Back out top it comes. Quick shot taken there by Graham. That was stopped by Watson. Washington gets the ball and a fresh 30 on the shot clock. No score early here in the first quarter. Working defensively, Chris Gill, number 25 for Toronto, as the ball is up top now for Travis Kilgore. Now a quick shot off the shoulder of Watson is scooped up by Pat Coyle. Coyle being pressured. Washington peeling back now to get some defensive players on, and the Rock will turn it back up the floor. Steve Toth, or at least Steve Toll. Now a whistle here, and it's turned over. First period in the first quarter brought to you by AOL Canada. Washington Power with the ball. Paul Gate hoping to get a shot, dishes it off to the side, working the pick and roll. This is Hubbard trying to go inside. Hard shot goes over top the net. That misses the goal, so the shot clock doesn't change. 10 seconds left in it. Gary Gate now trying to pull his way to the middle. He is turned around. Another shot stopped by Watson. Rebound. Shoveled at the net, and Watson is down to make the save. And Bob Watson has been very busy and very good early on.
And you can see why Washington has such a strong offense. Here's going to see some defense on Gate. It's not the guy who's covering him always. It's the backup. You see Terry Bullen, though, just managed to knock the ball loose the last second there.
Steve Toll with a nice pass, and off the goal post it's sent. Good try by Colin Doyle there. Doyle with a loose ball to retrieve. Then gets mugged, and the ball goes into the corner. Out in front of the net now for Langdale. Chance, and it goes bouncing into the corner. After it is Squire. Tim Squire being forced wide. Checking him is Josh Sims. Squire out into the slot. Inside pass move there for Chris Langdale. Didn't work.
Langdale really got open there. Just couldn't finish it. Connect on that pass there.
Paul Candabine handing it off, and Hiltz. Long pass into the far side for Kilgore. And again, it's over and back, and they're going to bring it back now, and it'll be Toronto ball. 11:41 to go here in the first quarter of play, with the Toronto Rock and the Washington Power scoreless.
Last week, Washington lost to Columbus, the expansion team.
Toth scores over the shoulder. Caleb Toth fires in his 9th of the year as things opened up for him down the wing. And he took advantage of it, taking it to the net.
And with a shot like that, things are going to continue to open up. Caleb Toth, as you remember last year, he's got a great outside shot. With shots like that, you're going to see they're going to have to show a bit more respect for him, come out farther, and that'll open up things for the other players.
Caleb Toth's 9th of the year, 3:27 the time of the goal. And here's that face-off you're talking about, scooped right up by Paul Cantabine. Cantabine being hacked at, ball on the carpet, but it is McKevra into the corner. Greg McKevra drops it back out top and heads to the bench. On come the Gate brothers. Down low it goes from Joe Hiltz. Now trying to move in front is Jeff Wills. Wills, a lob pass and another good save made by Watson off Hiltz, who had cut across. Graham, long shot wide. Ball retrieved and brought back up the floor quickly by Toronto. Glenn Clark now decides to pull it up. 1-0 Rocks. Squire on the far side for Danny Stroop. Stroop back outside for Chris Gill. Now for Toth. He has that hard outside shot. Decides to go inside. And a nice play for Stroop, but a good save made by Daly. Devin Daly, the Victoria native, 26 years of age, 6'1" and 165 pounds. With all that equipment on, built pretty near square.
250 pounds with the equipment.
Yeah, well, it looks like it anyway. Gate dished off to Jesse Hubbard. He gets a shot from outside, stopped, rebound, and a loose ball on the carpet.
Washington got away with one on that pick that he was throwing up there. Knocked down the Toronto defender.
And time runs out on the shot clock, and that's why the ball is turned over. Glenn Clark heading to the bench. Ryan O'Connor brings it into Washington territory. Pick and roll in for Toth, off the goal post. And into the goal crease, so it is Washington ball, but a nice feed, and Caleb Toth hit the right post. And then is into the crease. A break in the action here with 9:51 to go, first quarter, and it's 1-0 Toronto.
Come on. Hey, looking for a ride here. Ooh, that's nice. Come to Papa. Oh, man. What is that? A Corolla? Oh. Ooh, Daddy likes. Oh, baby.
The redesigned 2001 Corolla. It's more fun than you think.
Oh, well. Hello there. Whoa. Oh, every time.
Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gate, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
Caleb Toth has Toronto out in front of Washington 1-0. Molson Export Rock Lacrosse is brought to you by Molson Export. At X today. It will be Washington ball.
We talked about the face-offs earlier, Joe, and what Toronto's fear is that Washington has a couple guys who can win it cleanly. Toronto usually likes battling for the loose balls, but if they're picking up clean, they're not going to win too many face-offs.
Paul Cantabine did that the last time on
Paul
off the
Cantabine
goal.
and Rodney Tapp. They're both two of the best face-off guys in the league.
Sims getting it back for Hubbard. Hubbard trying to make a move, holds the ball. Hubbard still with it. Hubbard with the shot. That went well wide. Ball on the carpet and dug out now by Glenn Clark back of the net. Here comes Clark quickly up the floor. Changes coming for Toronto out the front door. Bounce pass into Squire going to the net. And that was stopped. The rebound, and Squire couldn't dive to knock it underneath Dolly. And now Dolly and Chris Langdale are shoving, and we're getting a little bit of...
we got nothing yet.
Referee, you hear him? Nothing yet.
Let's go this
I
way.
think we could pretty much underline yet, but everything seems to break out. No penalties here.
Still early. There's Darius Kilgore. He's the all-time penalty leader in the NLL, but he's not a one-dimensional player by far. He leads. He's in the top 5 in every offensive category. He played for the Buffalo Bandits for a long time, and he probably retired early because of some knee or degenerative hip problems. He's a fantastic player.
One of the reasons why Neil Doddridge made sure he told us that he was the leading penalty minute leader in the NLL of active players.
That's
he
right.
didn't want to get his coach up.
He was just waiting for Darius to retire. But Darius was, I played with him. He's one of the most intense players, great leader.
Easy, fellas, easy.
And I'm sure he'll be a great coach.
Washington, outside shot, scores. A great drive there by Matt Shear. And you talked about the importance of Shear and Hubbard adding to the offense. Well, Shear ties the game here.
And this is what we said too, because these are the guys on the right shooters that they need to get production from, and they have been. But it makes it tough. You're going to see this just an outside shot, and we've talked about it all year. If Bobby Watson has a weak spot at all, it's his outside shots.
5:58 the time of the goal by Shear, and now a 2-on-1 break, and they score! A defensive breakdown, and this time it is Jess Hubbard who makes it 2-1 in favor of the Washington
Jesse Hubbard.
Power.
He's the other player of the right shooters that's going to get a lot of chances. We talked about how important the faceoffs are, and here you go. They win it cleanly. Jesse Hubbard's going to finish this off. It's good work here, but Jesse Hubbard finishes it off. The Rock spends a lot of time, and they will spend a lot of time covering the left shooters. The Gate brothers and Joey Hiltz. These are the guys that might make the difference for Washington.
And here is another faceoff won by Washington. It is 2-1 Power, and a shot by Gate goes wide. Big rebound, gobbled up by the Rock, and Beltman. Errant pass, though, for Coyle. Back in, it goes into the corner. Hubbard trying to get out in front. He has taken down the ball on the carpet. Hubbard with his 19th goal of the year. Shear with his 10th, and they come just 9 seconds apart. And it is 2-1 Washington, and another turnover. On the ball with a bit of a bounce, but grabbed by Candavine. Paul Candavine trying to bring it up. Rochester native gets it on the wing for Josh Sims, who will slow things down and allow the offensive players out onto the floor. Hiltz bringing it up. Looks inside, trying to get a bit of a pick. Goes outside. Gate doesn't shoot it. Now it is thrown high by Kilgore. Now with a fresh 30 on the clock. Kilgore into the corner. Now here's a chance trying to go to the net with Graham. He was turned. Graham still has it. Graham with some room, but it's knocked out of his stick. And a loose ball, and it is Washington ball.
This way.
That shot by Travis Kilgore actually looked like it touched mesh there, Joe, but it went in and out so quickly. We'll never find out.
It is Washington ball and a 2-1 Power lead with 7:35 to go here in the first quarter. And Toronto have turned the ball over, and you've mentioned it, the loss of face-offs is a very key part of this game so far.
Well, they've won 3 straight face-offs cleanly. Here you're going to see the shot. Backhand shot. Watch the mesh. No, actually it hit crossbar. The videotape proves it.
And we have penalties here. We've got one. O'Connor has gone to the box. And Washington is going to the power play.
Washington's got terrific power play. You're going to see Toronto, they're not playing a regular box. They're playing 3 on one side. You're going to see some shots from Matt Shears and Hubbard because that's what Toronto's going to give them.
It is a holding call to O'Connor. Washington has scored 26 power play goals in 55 opportunities. And Clark's shot goes wide. A jump ball that clears the glass and goes into the first row of spectators. And a big crowd on hand here at the Air Canada Centre. They were expecting in the neighborhood of 16,000, which would be an all-time record. There is Gate, as in Gary Gate. The twins, born in April. And we've got another goal.
And that's Matt Shear, and if Toronto's going to get beat on the power play, this is how it's going to happen. They've decided, at least for now, that they're going to play 3 guys on Gate's side, and that leaves Jimmy Veltman on the other side. Everybody knows what's happening. It's up to Matt Shear to score, and he does. I think Toronto is counting on having better percentages going against Matt Shear than the Gates, but so far Matt Shear's got 2 goals, Jesse Hubbard's got 1, so they may have to rethink that strategy.
Faceoff wasn't done correctly. The ball awarded to Toronto, and Washington, if they took Columbus lightly in losing to the expansion team, they brought their A game here tonight to start anyway, despite some travel problems, and they lead it 3-1. Pass inside, unable to control the ball, but it's loose on the carpet, and controlled by Toronto. Here's Toth, now to Langdale. Langdale in for Stroke. He's in a lot of traffic and can't bust through. And out come the Washington Power. Shear with his 2nd goal of the game and his 11th of the year on the power play, and it is 3-1 Washington. Now here is Derek Graham, Naval Ontario native, dishes it off. Graham going to the front of the net. The pass comes through, but it's wide of the net and controlled back of the goal by Watson. Long outlet pass, but out of the reach of the intended receiver, Glenn Clark.
Clark was there. The pass was just a little high from Bobby Watson.
On the far side it goes. Trying to come out with it. And did that go over and back? We've got a whistle here, a pushing violation.
I did not hear you.
They didn't get over the line within 10 seconds.
And so it is a Toronto ball. 5:49 left to play here in the first quarter. Squire decides to shoot it. Good save by Daly. Controlled in the corner by Steve Toll. He centers. Now out in front it comes. O'Connor dishing it back on the far side. Colin Doyle holds. Far side for Squire. Squire gets a bit of a pick back in for Doyle, who was heading to the net. Time 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Outside. Daly, the save, didn't see the rebound. And it is controlled by Washington. McKevra. The pass ahead. Brought back.
Great defense by Pat Coyle, forced the over and back.
Hubbard got it across the pass, but he was pushed back across the timeline, and so Toronto gets the ball. 5:06 to play in the quarter.
Easy, don't hold.
O'Connor. Stroop runs a bit of a pick for him, as does Toth. Outside shot went wide. Big rebound. Knocked down was O'Connor. And here's a breakaway for Gary Gate. Shoot, scores! Gary Gate, as O'Connor fell. And it is 4-1 Washington. And this is not how the Toronto Rock wanted to start this game.
You're going to see here Gill just misses a shot, and the rebound comes out here, and you see a little bit of interference by Gary Gate, but I wouldn't call it either. There you go. No fancy moves this time. He just shoots. Sometimes you just have to keep the goalie honest. Just take a good hard shot.
18th of the year for Gary Gate, and the Washington Power have grabbed an early lead.
The new gas and electric Toyota Prius runs 90% cleaner than most other vehicles. Obviously, nature approves. Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gate, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
To learn that you will have a life, and that the people around you still love you and need you. That's the first big breakthrough. But having made that breakthrough and decided it's worth staying around, you still have the problem of how are we going to make ends meet?
Even if you have health insurance, you need health extras.
And welcome back, Terry Bull, and getting this crowd momentum and the Toronto Rock into the game. Top priorities for you people right now.
Yeah, we certainly need to get going. We need to bury some goals. But this is part of the game. 3 goals is nothing. So here we come. Just wait. We got a lot of game left.
A lot of game. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry Bullen, who, by the way, will be our halftime report coming up in 2 periods of play. This has been another Molson Export Bench Report. Joe, back up to you.
Thank you, Paul. A 4-1 Washington Power lead. We've almost had as much scoring in the first 10 minutes as we had the entire game, our last telecast. We're trying to decide who is charged the timeout.
Arguing over who called it.
Yes, draw, fellas.
Bring all kinds of different attire to a Rock game. Washington ball.
This is something Toronto's going to have to solve, the face-off problem. They've only won one face-off.
Easy, Terry, easy off the ball.
Gary Gate shoots it wide, gets his own rebound. Backhand over top of the net. Washington with the ball again in the corner, but it's now on the carpet. Dug free, Dan Ladouceur can't come up with it. Neither can Patty Coyle. It's kicked free. Coyle with an avenue to it. And it is finally scooped up here by Greg Gelsevic. Watson for Clark. Out the front door comes the Rock offense, led here by Steve Cole. St. Catherine's native on the far side, and the shot is stopped. And the rebound is controlled by Washington. Back the other way. And the shot deflects wide of the net off Watson. Canterbury trying to get around his man, Glenn Clark. And another whistle. Washington ball.
Healthy.
Couple of slashes there. Play on, says the official. Derek Graham working against Dan Ladouceur. Graham taking a look to see who's coming out the door and finally gives it on to Travis Kilgore. Bounce shot wide of the net, goes high into the air. Grabbed off here by Derek Graham. Graham has it again. Washington has controlled the loose balls here in this first quarter as well, Brian.
Yeah, they have, but Toronto's really laid a pounding on them in this sequence. And I'm sure they'll hope throughout the course of the game that'll really wear and tear on the Washington offensive players.
Kilgore and Ladouceur going at one another here a little bit. And there will be penalties here with 3:17 to go. Part of tonight's game brought to you by Yamaha, exceeding expectation. Head coach Les Bartley looking on. Coincident minor penalties here.
Hey, go inside.
I think Toronto may be a little bit more concerned about the offense here. You see Darius Kilgore looking on. He likes what he sees so far. But what Toronto's been having a problem, they're getting guys open, but they're just not catching the ball. They almost look a little nervous offensively.
Here's Caleb Toth. He has the only Rock goal from the same spot. And this time he landed in the crease, and it is turned over to Washington.
Bring it back! Bring it back!
Number 2, Eric Miller, 2 men for roughing. Rock penalty number 6. And big dog on the serve.
So it is 4-1 in favor of the Power.
For Washington Miller, 2 men for roughing.
And it is brought out now by Doddridge. He heads to the bench. Washington into the attack, looking in front of the net where Matt Green was stationed, but they couldn't get him the ball. Penalty. Nope. Well, there was a penalty coming there, but it was just the time changing for the official.
The referee was just scratching his arm.
Veltman gets it over the timeline. Colin Doyle. Shot scores! Tim Squire on the bounce shot beats Devin Daly, and it is 4-2.
And there's a big sigh of relief on the Rock bench here, not just because it was a timely goal, because Kim Squire's been having a hard time with his stick the last few weeks. He's got what you call a hook in your stick, and that's when the ball doesn't shoot straight. And here you do it. If that's where he was aiming, it went straight. But the last few weeks he's been complaining about his stick. He's been working on it. He's been changing his sticks. And when you get an offensive player like him who's not confident in his stick, it really takes away from his game.
Kim Squire, who left the game in Washington in the third quarter when he was ejected for being the third man in an altercation, had a goal in that game at that point, and we got some shoving going on.
Coyle wants to go here with Neil Doddridge.
Coyle and Doddridge play on. And then Doddridge gives Coyle a real good whack on the way through.
He won't fight him.
And Coyle is coming right back at him. Doddridge is the guy that'll get under your skin, and right now he is like a worm underneath Pat Coyle's skin.
Doddridge will not fight Pat Coyle, even if he has a gun to his head. He knows Pat Coyle. He's played in the league with him in Canada for many years, and he knows what the outcome will be if he fights Pat Coyle. But he doesn't mind trying to take Pat off to the penalty box. The only thing I'd be worried about if I were Neil is Pat's going to get one on him sooner or later. Here you see Pat's asking him for a fight. Neil doesn't want to go.
So there are coincident penalties.
Now that's what'll really get Pat going. And if you don't want to fight, then don't throw a punch.
Well, the discussion is continuing in the Air Canada Centre penalty box. And our first bit of testiness, if you will, has surfaced here.
And that's one of the reasons why a lot of players really don't like Neil on the floor. Neil Doddridge is a great guy off the floor. You see that in lots of sports. But on the floor, this is what a lot of guys don't like.
David, go talk to him. Okay. What do you got now? An extra deuce. Philadelphia, Washington received an extra deuce. An extra minor. 2 minutes for slashing, and 2 minutes for roughing. And the other guy's got just to go. So we need another guy in the box. Another guy for the penalty. Okay.
Well, Doddridge obviously is getting the extra penalty. And so the Toronto Rock are going to go to the power play for the first time in the game. And this is an area where the Toronto Rock really have to improve.
Yeah, their power play's hurting badly. 8th in the league at 38%. That's terrible.
They've scored 8 goals in 21 opportunities. Interesting, I know that Washington's played 2 more games than the Rock, but they've had 55 opportunities on the power play. Toronto's had 21. As we look at some statistical information on Pat Coyle, no stranger to the penalty box or the frequent flyer program. Outside shot went wide by Veltman. Now he has to hustle to try to keep the ball on side, and he does.
Toronto's made some changes to the power play.
Coat shot stopped by Dolly. Coat gets it outside. Here's Squire. Inside pass. Stroop shot blocked. Rebound on the carpet and a whistle. It'll be Toronto ball.
They're putting Jimmy Veltman on the top of the power play because they feel he moves the ball better than anybody. And they really want him to shoot a lot more. He likes to be a setup guy, but he needs to be a threat as a shooter, too.
Squire, and there's the shot off Dolly's shoulder, but controlled here by Washington. Trying to get out, but not having much success. The ball on the carpet again. Dan Stroop, good job, lost the handle, then lost the ball. Now hopes to get some assistance and does. Caleb Coast trying to throw it over the shoulder. That didn't work. Now it's still loose on the carpet. Still loose in the carpet. And finally, and now another chance. Scores! Danny Stroop! Oh no, he stepped in the crease. Stepped in the crease. No goal.
Nice play.
Another turnover. Stroop stopped by Dolly. Canavine wants to get some control of the ball and doesn't. Stroop has it again, and he shot wide. Rebound in front, net dislodged, and Squire is down. It's Terry Bullen who is trying to get
the
up.
ref to blow the whistle.
He is limping, now crawling his way as we get a ball down in the Toronto end, and Bullen is just now making it to the Toronto bench. Nets are put back on. There's no stoppage of play there, and the power play is 20 seconds left in it. Had a little bit of everything in this power play, haven't we? Veltman, Squire, Veltman, Squire, pass too high. Caleb Coke was in front, but the ball didn't reach him. And there's the 30-second clock, but now the officials have awarded the ball to the Toronto Rock. Terry Bullen's stick is being retrieved. Nope, he's just going to leave it on the floor. There's Terry Bullen, and a shot outside, scores! Colin Doyle, and then fell from behind was Chris Gill.
This is what started it all in Washington a few weeks ago when Toronto's really upset about what happened a few weeks ago. They feel too many late hits. And this time Derek Graham knocks down Chris Gill just after the goal.
With 3.6 seconds left in the quarter, a goal by Colin Doyle.
You're going to see Colin Doyle. He hasn't been on the power play today till Jimmy came off, and he just takes an outside shot. Another bounce. The last two goals have been bounce shots. Colin Doyle and Kim Squire.
14:56 is the time of the goal. And once again, Washington owns the face-off circle, but time's going to run out. Rory Graham handled this part of the game for the Toronto Rock a year ago, but was lost in the expansion draft.
Rodney Tapp is one of the best face-off guys.
An exciting first quarter. It's 4-3 Washington.
One price buying, only at Templeton Dodge Olds in Tysons.
Durango buyers, look out. You're going to need all the room in your new Durango just to drive off with the cash you'll save at Templeton.
She's right. Pick the Durango you want and get up to $2,000 cash back, or financing as low as 0.9% plus up to $1,500 cash back.
Wow, a huge selection of Durangos plus great savings. It adds up to the best deal around.
One price buying, no one else has it.
Templeton Dodge Olds in Tysons.
I'm a little nervous.
Don't worry, Coley, you'll be okay.
Let's do it!
Supper's ready.
Once you get the shell off, you gotta go, yeah, like that. See? Yeah! Right up through there. See it's coming out.
Hey! What's this, Yellow? Tell me about the eyeballs. Can we eat the eyeballs? Can you eat them?
The eyeballs are a little on the shaky side. These are the crab's lungs. Don't eat the devil.
Dude, my fingers are starting to burn.
Put them in your mouth and just go like that. You kids are all right. Oh, man, what a treat.
I want to start investing. I heard about these new inflation-indexed I-bonds from the U.S. Treasury that guarantee a return above inflation.
Well, we don't offer them, but there's this new stock.
It guarantees a return.
Wow, no.
Look, I want an investment that's guaranteed to stay ahead of inflation like the I-bond, that's safe like the I-bond, and will let me get started with as little as $50.
Like the I-bond.
Right.
What a miserable winter. But now, Orioles baseball is back on HTS. The indomitable Cal Ripken is back. All-star fan favorite Mike Bordick is back. Super slugger David Segui is back. Skipper Mike Hargrove is back. This March on HTS, Orioles Grapefruit League play is back. And beginning in April, catch the excitement of a whole new season of O's baseball on HTS. Orioles baseball is back on the one and only home of the Orioles. HTS. HTS in February, packed with power. College basketball. Get set for 40 high-octane games on HTS in February. The power of the ACC men and women. The CAA men and women. Plus Big East Power Georgetown. And the A-10 featuring GW. Now that's college basketball power. That's all February long, and that's only on HTS.
And welcome back to the Air Canada Centre, where the Washington Power lead the Toronto Rock by a count of 4-3. Updating Terry Bullen's injury, he has been taken to the dressing room. He is being attended to, but knowing how tough these players are in lacrosse, the team, of course, hopes to get him back. In the timeout, head coach Les Bartley telling his troops not to lose their composure. Washington is trying to draw them into penalties and also to be patient offensively. They feel they're going to be able to get to Washington's goaltender in due time. Joe, back up to you.
Thanks very much, Paul.
You saw Terry go down. It was really hard to tell what happened there. I don't think it was his ankle.
No, he didn't seem to go over on it at all, but Toronto has won a face-off. That is something that has not happened very often.
No, they've been losing 6-2 on face-offs. And they don't care if they don't win. They just want to be half and half, or at least close to half and half.
Bullen comes back to the bench, so he appears to be all right. Inside move and a nice pass. And Doyle couldn't finish after Squire had set him up. Colin Doyle with it again. Here's Squire, over the shoulder, and it went just wide. Rebound control by Washington. Trying to bring it up the floor is Rodney Tapp. Out the front door now comes the Gate brothers. Here's Gary, nice feed, shot went wide. Josh Sims was set up perfectly. Coming up after the game, make sure you stay tuned with Mike Toth and Peter Labardis as we have all of the action in Sports Central Primetime coming up after the game. Here's the Rock with a 4-3 lead and a shot stopped by Daly.
The Rock seems to be playing with a bit more energy after getting those 2 goals. Rock's very confident in their defense, and we heard the coach talking about the offense. He's happy with what he's seen so far.
Outside, wide of the net, long rebound, and it bounds into the penalty box. Souvenir for one of the spectators in behind the penalty box, and Brent McCauley down there running the clock. Shot scores! A quick transition, and Chris Langdale has tied the game.
This is a beautiful pass. You're going to see it's a very difficult, much more difficult than it looks. You're going to see Pat Coyle get the ball. He attempts a quick break, and he sees that somebody's open here. I think it's Kim Squires that catches the ball. That is a difficult pass Squires make. He's running away from it, right on the money, and Chris Langdale puts it in. That's a beautiful pass by Kim Squires.
So the Rock have come back from a 4-1 deficit to tie the game at 4s, and we're getting some face-off etiquette preached to the boys down on the line.
Hey, get away, you're going to go for 10. All right? Just stand there, you're going to go for 10.
See, that's where Canabine is putting the ball, and that's why everybody wants to get there. Rodney Tapp is winning it clean, and Canopy is knocking it back there.
Well, that has helped. Toronto comes up with the loose ball. Here's Langdale. Outside shot. Dollied way out of the goal. Ball on the carpet and some hacking and whacking on Hugh Donovan. Still loose. Look out. Hit there as Graham was level. Pass in front. Shot stopped by Dolly. And flattened and pancaked for his efforts in front of the net. Now Squire is taken down. Out come the Washington Power. Tapp dishes it off. Now outside, trying to make a move inside. And it comes back to Graham at the top. Hiltz.
Easy, Clocky, easy.
Now Shearer for Wills. Long shot at the buzzer, and it is turned over to the Toronto Rock. Our second quarter of tonight's game at the ACC brought to you by AOL Canada. 12:07 to play in the second quarter. That rang off the glass and is going to bounce.
That went off a Washington stick.
Player, yep, all right. So there is no over and back violation. Toronto still owns the ball. 3 seconds, though, on the shot clock, and it is shoveled wide of the goal. You hear that buzzer sounding when the 30 seconds is up. As soon as the ball is turned over, that's when you get the 30 seconds to engineer a shot that has to be not at the net, but on the net. On home net! There's one off the crossbar.
That's unbelievable he got that shot away with one hand.
Hoyle. Slash from behind by Gate. Hoyle comes up with it again. Gate goes to the box. Here's a man in front with the pass attempted for Glenn Clark. Didn't work. Clark has to go off. It's a new carpet too, Brian, and you see the guys having difficulty sometimes getting loose balls to behave. Shot off the goal crease. No, it's scored. It went off the post and bounced in and then quickly came back out. And Washington has taken a 5-4 lead.
This is Washington's fast break game. They're very dangerous on the fast break. They got a lot of guys who can finish. They're going to see a nice pass, move.
And Gary Gate.
Gary Gate putting it in. There's another look. Nice one-handed scoop pass. Gate puts on the move. He's very dangerous from outside inside. You just can't let him get those opportunities.
19th of the year, second goal of the game, and just the slightest wrist maneuvering and movement with the stick that Gary Gate is able to put about 5 or 6 different moves on a goaltender in a split second to take you right away from where he's
his hands move so fast, Joe. And you see with Gary Gate, you know, every once in a while he just takes a good hard shot. That keeps the goalies honest, and the goalies sometimes have to respect his shot.
We're going to try and slow it down. This doesn't help Bob Watson, but watch.
He makes it look easy, and it looks a lot easier here than it really is. But he puts on the faker, makes Bobby come out.
There's one.
Bobby's
2,
out.
3.
Once Bobby is out and down to stop what he thinks is going to be the shot, Gary just pulls it back and puts it in the empty net. It looks very easy when it's slow motion.
Ball in the air, but a whistle and a holding call is coming here to Toronto. Second power play opportunity of the game for Washington.
Let's see if Toronto changes anything here. The last power play, they put 3 guys on Gates' side, and they left Jimmy Veltman to cover Matt Shears and Jesse Hubbard. Here you're going to see the penalty. I don't know if it was the first or the second, but he probably could have called either one for a hold.
Hubbard, outside, Gate. Shot inside, stopped, back across, and unable to retrieve it was Joe Hiltz. He had a great chance with an empty net. Gate outside again, and an injured Toronto player in the corner. Shot scores. Glenn Clark is down and in a lot of pain.
He's hurting badly. He's holding onto his ankle. And playing 5-on-3, Gary Gate was able to just walk in there.
So it is a 6-4 lead for Washington. But now the concern here is for Glenn Clark, who is in a lot of pain down there in the corner after Washington has gone 2 for 2 on the power play. You mentioned 26 of 55 coming into the game in the power play. And we'll get a look at the injury here as Clark goes into the corner after the ball.
There's quite a fight for the loose ball. Oh,
seemed to get hit by his own man coming from behind.
It looked like his leg got pulled out from his own man there. Here you're going to see the goal. They're playing a 5-on-3 here, and Gate, actually, he walks around Terry Bullen, puts it in.
So Gary Gate has his 20th goal of the year. He has 3 here tonight. And we're going to take a break and hope that Glenn Clark's going to be all right. It is a 6-4 power lead.
To be a good shooter, you've got to use stick fake. And the fake I usually use is a quarter turn fake, which you basically bring your stick from behind, you come all the way, your top wrist is turning a quarter of the way. Now your stick's in position for a shot on goal. You don't have to bring your stick back for the goalie to counteract where you're shooting.
The newly restyled Toyota 4Runner can take you places other vehicles can't. which could necessitate bringing along some additional equipment.
Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gait, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
And welcome back to the Air Canada Centre. Assistant Coach Ed Como, your defense has been hit hard by injuries. A tough predicament when you're facing Gary and Paul Gait.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, we've got some guys who are going to step up to the challenge, but certainly a couple of key injuries early on that doesn't help our situation.
Long way to go. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. This has been a Molson Export Bench Report. Joe?
Here's another look at the injury to Glenn Clark.
Watch, I think it's actually Pat Coyle comes running in, and his leg actually
kind of hyperextended it.
You know what?
Right over on the ankle.
Looks like he may have twisted it.
Easy, guys. Well, let's hope that it is nothing more than a sprain. And it is a 6-4 power lead. And Glenn Clark has been a very effective player for Toronto through the early part of this season. He took a ball in the throat in the game in Ottawa, so it's been a tough season for him. As a shot scored by Squire. Kim Squire from outside, and when he gets hot, maybe he's found the right stick.
He must have the stick working. This is the way Kim plays when he's on his game. He wants the ball, he wants to shoot. And you're going to see, he just takes a good hard outside shot. He loves doing this. He shoots through the screen. Another bounce shot. And the book on Devin DeLeap is he really likes to play out. But he came out to challenge Kim Squires, and he still found the spot.
Kim Squire, just 20 years of age, in his third season of professional lacrosse. 5'8", 155, and all of it is cast iron.
Thanks a lot to Jimmy Veltman. Rocks just won 3 face-offs in a row on him getting in there early to pick up the loose ball.
Josh Sims works the outside for Washington to Hubbard. Far side, Gate. Trying to move in, flipped it inside. Over the shoulder attempt is blocked by Ladouceur as he took Gary Gate down. Ladouceur gets a bit of a shove from behind, and Bob Watson now has some room to maneuver and gets the ball ahead. Post, long pass into the corner. Now in front of the net, shot scores! Chris Gill set up nicely with a fast break of Toronto's own.
Well, Washington got caught here with guys up the floor, and this is not the strength of Washington's game. You're going to see they're too spread out. They just moved the ball up the floor. There's really no excuse for this because it wasn't a fast break. They only had 2 guys back, a 3-on-2. Chris Gill scores the goal, so they'll be drinking free in his sister's bar in Vancouver.
Oh, for a while.
That's
8th of the year for Gill. And Chris Gill makes it a 6-6 tie. And this looks like it's going to be a seesaw event right down to the wire. 6 apiece with 9:17 to play in the period. And a shot stopped by Daly. On the floor again. Banging and crashing Ken Millen. Look at the scramble along there. Hack and whack, and finally controlled, or is it tap? Trying to move it up the floor for Washington. 22 seconds, intercepted. Here's a chance for the shot. Stopped by Daly, but he's down to cover up on it. Great effort by Ken Millen, the Caledon native, who's a student at Brock University. Well, we hardly had any scoring a couple of weeks ago in a 7-4 win over Albany. 12 goals with 8:51 to go here in the second quarter.
There you see Kim Squires takes that shot one-handed. The Rock's going to go on the second power play. They're 1 for 1 so far.
The penalty goes to Washington. Toronto on the power play. A holding call. Squire, shot stopped by Daly.
Colin Doyle was right in on the goal, and he passed it back to the point there.
Candabine gets the holding penalty. Good hit there on McKevra. Tap up top.
And this is where, if the gates are on the floor, you know Gary's going to go for the net. This is where Toronto's really got to try to give him a pounding. They can get away with double teaming him here. Might as well tire him out if he gets that ball, pound him hard.
Now Matt Shear just throws it into the Toronto zone as the time clock had expired. And the Rock have a minute 10 to go on the power play.
And Colin Doyle took a slash as somebody was running back down the floor.
Doyle works the outside as Toth gets it returned. Winds and shoots. Glove save made there by Dalip, and a good one. Gary Gate with a long lead, but couldn't haul in the pass. Now he has to work one-on-one.
Somebody better get back to help.
He rolls it on the floor to Tap. Tap heading to the bench. Moving to the near side is Matt Shear. Shear just throws it away again, killing off the remaining time. 26 seconds in the power play. Long lead pass, and a bad one is too far. But interference play in front, and so Toronto gets the ball.
Rock got a break there. The ball was going to be turned over in a late hit, gave it back.
Feldman gets it back, looks inside, pass off to Squire, back out to Toth, now to Colin Doyle to Squire, shot from a sharp angle, stopped by Dalip, and he's got it caught up in his shin pad. There's 5 seconds left in the penalty to Paul Candabine.
It's what the Toronto coaches want their power play to do a bit more. They feel that Devin Dalip comes out so far, they want to wind up to the shot and shoot it down to the crease.
Candabine, the penalty is over. Washington back at full strength. So the power specialty teams have been excellent. 2 for 2 in the penalty kill and 2 for 2 on the power play. Shot fired off the post. Here is Graham. Inside stop by Bob Watson. Trying to come out with it now is Shear. Shear loses it at the side of the goal. Watson has control of it. Looks for a quick outlet and then decides to hand it off. 6:10 to go in the second period. 6-6 tie. Glad you're along with us. Joe Bowen along with Brian Shanahan here at the Air Canada Centre in National Lacrosse League action. The two-time defending champion Toronto Rock and the Washington Power, who were in Pittsburgh a year ago, moving into the Washington Arena now downtown, the MCI Center. And that area of Maryland, a very big lacrosse area for American players. Squire.
Huge field lacrosse area down there, Joe.
And they're banking on that as being their opening. And now some good running here. And a shot bounds wide. Good hustle there as Josh Sims took it the distance, or at least Paul Candabine took it the distance. And now back comes Toll. Stevie Toll for Toronto, number 17. Who works in the corrections as a corrections officer in Uxbridge. Now here's Gill.
Easy, fellas, easy.
Outside shot, bounce into the net, they score! That may have taken a bit of a funny hop after it appeared to have hit the goal post. But Chris Gill has his second of the game.
Definitely didn't go straight in, but Chris Gill, who's known as an inside shooter. He'll even say he doesn't have the best outside shot, but he should take more of them, especially when there's a screen here. You see, just through a screen. Looks like Dalip makes the save at first, but it just squeezed in behind him.
2 goals and 1 assist for Chris Gill. And Toronto starting to win their share of faceoffs now. Although it turns over and Washington has the ball. Candabine. Bullen gets the assist. And Toll has the other assist. And a big hit there. Now here's Green. Far side. Coyle trying to match the hit of Bullen. Shot rings wide of the net. Bullen is bowled over there on a pretty good hit from number 7, Matt Green of Washington. And they're throwing the bodies around a little bit as the second goal in succession for Chris Gill has given the Toronto Rock the lead, and this outside shot beats Daly.
Love is in the air, everywhere I look around. Love is in the air, every sight and every sound. Love is in the air, love is in the air. Looking good, babe. Love is in the air.
Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gate, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
Gary Gate has scored goals 4, 5, and 6 for the Washington Power, but Gary, things are tightening up for both sides out there right now.
Well, it's the type of game I thought it's going to be. It's going to be a tough defensive game. Both goalies are playing well, so, we just keep working and, hopefully bury a few more of our opportunities and we'll be up on top.
All right, a heavyweight tug of war. Thank you very much. This has been another Molson Export Bench Report. Joe, back up to you.
Molson Export Rock Lacrosse brought to you in part by the new Chevy Silverado Heavy Duty by Chevy Trucks.
You notice Gary Gate says tough defensive battle to the Rock. This is a shootout.
That's right.
To Washington, it's a defensive battle.
Doyle. Got a pick and roll from Gill. Couldn't move in. Gets another pick. Down goes Gill. Doyle holding the ball, trying to make a move back to Gill. He takes a big hit, but hangs on to the ball. Now gets an avenue to the net. Back for Doyle. And he was sandwiched there. Doyle took a shot, but it is off. Gill really got nailed. And down he went, but he took two Washington Power players with him. Super Bowl reports on Sports Central with Jamie Campbell and Dan Murphy along with Steve Christie all weekend long. The big game coming up Sunday afternoon from Tampa. It is 3:54 remaining to be played in the second quarter. The Toronto Rock lead the Washington Power 7-6, and Hugh Donovan's gone off for roughing. Third power play of the game for Toronto without a goal. Doyle, Squire, and Veltman up top. Now Toth the shot, and that bounds high and is going into the crowd off goaltender Devin Daly. And a fight for the souvenir. Got that one in there. Part of the large crowd here at Air Canada Centre, in excess of 15,000 to 16,000. Shot by Toth over top of the net. Off the back of the goal. Goaltender Daly trying to reach it. Outside it comes to Squire. Loose ball back of the net. Stroop passed it in front, but it's picked off. Rodney Tapp. More banging out in front of the net as Stroop went down. Now the ball picked up by Ladouceur. Crashes in over the timeline, then lost it, and it's going to be over and back. Danny got out of his element there.
Oh, see ya! Hey!
He had the ball in his stick.
All the way over to me. Keep coming.
Big Dan Ladouceur, 6'6" and 250. He's a Durham Regional Police officer, and he is the tough cop back there on the Toronto defense court. 56 seconds left in the power play for Toronto. Washington trying to kill off time. Tap. One hands it over the shoulder for a shorthanded goal. What a nice goal that was.
It's where you see you can never take the Gates for granted. They don't need two hands on the stick. This Rock can't let them get away with this. Although sometimes, what can you say? You got two guys all over him. A penalty coming. He shoots a one-handed shot the wrong way. It's just amazing the shots he gets away. You see one hand on the stick, two guys on him. He's a left shooter. He shoots one-handed right.
Paul
that was
Gate,
a hard bounce shot.
With his 13th of the season, it's a shorthanded goal. His first shorthanded goal of the year. And the Gate brothers have got 4. Gary over congratulating his brother.
Where you see the all-time points leaders. You recognize a lot of these names. The Gates, Darius Kilgore on there, the coach of Washington, and Jimmy Veltman up there too. Of course, everybody remembers Tavares and Finneran, Marichuk. And we saw Dowling last week.
Marichuk was the player of the week last week in the National Lacrosse League. And a timeout has been called here, I believe, by Toronto. With 2:42, check that, a timeout called by Washington. With 2:42 left to play in the half and 48 seconds left in the penalty. So the Washington specialty teams have been exceptional.
Yeah, you really have to lay a pounding on those Gates, especially when they're shorthanded.
Let's go.
Because that's the only time you can really double team them.
You get an opportunity to chat with National Lacrosse League referee Bill Fox by getting online, and you can dial in right now, www.cdbsports.net, and Bill Fox will talk to you a little bit about some of the rules and some of the action in the National Lacrosse League. Here's another shorthanded rush. Gary Gate blocked by Watson, who didn't go for the 8th fake.
Not at all that time.
Gate gets it back outside. 23 seconds left in the power play.
Washington should be able to kill off the rest of this penalty.
Paul Gate.
He wants to go to the net.
Again. And going to be a penalty here to Chris Langdale, who then thunders into Paul Gate and flattens him.
Up easy, guys, up easy.
But there's going to be a penalty here to Langdale for holding. And the specialty teams of the Washington Power are going to get another opportunity, this time the power play.
You don't want to do this. You're getting frustrated that you can't just knock this guy down, but this doesn't do any good. When you got two guys, he's not going anywhere yet. Now, this is smarter. Langdale runs out. He figures, I'm getting a penalty anyhow. I might as well knock him down.
He did that, and now Toronto, I think, has called a timeout.
Holding's not going to do any good.
I agree.
On Gary or Paul Gate.
Holding penalty to Langdale. So specialty teams, Washington is 2 for 2 on the power play. They've killed off 3 consecutive Toronto power plays, and they've scored a shorthanded goal. So while playing 5-on-5, the Toronto Rock have been fine. In fact, they have held the lead and held their own. But it has been whilst a man short or while they've had the man advantage that they've not been able to do it. Our next telecast here on CDB Sportsnet comes your way with the Philadelphia Wings arrive at Air Canada Centre Friday, February the 9th. And we'll be on the air beginning at 7:30. Tom Marichuk, who is the National Lacrosse League Player of the Week, and Mr. Berge will arrive as well. Before that, the Rock play in Buffalo tomorrow night and then play in New York Saturday, February the 3rd. So a couple of tough road games coming up. And Buffalo 3-0 out of the chute. And the Rock will be in Buffalo tomorrow night.
You're going to see Gary Gate come up with a few moves. But this time, Bobby Watson doesn't go for it at all.
Bobby Watson has faced 22 Washington shots. The Rock have had 32.
The Rock's not going to give Shearer and Hubbard as much room as they have in the past.
Boyle right out after his man. Cross Shear tried to tip it in front of the net, and unable to make contact was Matt Green, the new Westminster, British Columbia native. Long lead pass is controlled by the Rock into the penalty kill. Coming into the game, the Rock, short-handed, had scored only 2 goals. Now here's a chance for Sprout. Oh, he gets felled going to the net.
It was actually great defense by Gate.
Gill.
Take the stick away.
Squire. Bounced away. Caleb Toth runs out of time. Less than a minute to go in the second quarter and the first half of play. It has been a struggle and it has been physical. A 7-7 tie. Matt Shear. Matt Green. Outside shot from Gate, scores! Paul Gate has his second goal of the game. And the Washington Power have an 8-7 lead.
Here you're just going to see he comes around the top. This is a nice play. They flood to one side, comes out the top. There was a pick thrown up high to give him a little bit of room for the extra windup. You're going to see they kind of switch sides so that the right shooter comes over to his side, throws that pick, just to give him that extra time to wind up. And he's got a great outside shot. The Gates, I don't think you can stop them. I think you just have to pound on them so much. Hopefully by the third, fourth quarter, they're hurting.
Well, you got to, if you're going to do that, you got to make sure that some of the lesser lights don't kill you by adding to the totals. But the Gate brothers have now got 5 goals.
Yeah.
Shot went wide.
In fact, the last 5 goals.
Yes, they have. Bounce in. A shot by Doyle went wide. Here's Cole. 4 seconds on the shot clock. And a whistle. A timeout.
Got a white time.
White timeout. Charge to the Toronto Rock with 10 seconds remaining on the game clock.
Here you're going to see Danny Stroop going to the net and an unlikely person playing great defense. That is a fantastic stick check by Gary Gate. And he gets back up and plays some defense without his stick. The Rock's hoping with 10 seconds to go and a goalie pulled, they can get a goal to go back into the dressing room tied up.
Les Bartley talking to his team. Gary Gate on the other side. And here's a look at rather elite membership in a 500-goal club. Gary Gate, 192 at Syracuse, 371 in pro lacrosse, 563 career goals.
There's a guy, he's averaging 4 goals a game in this league. It's just unbelievable.
2 brothers.
His brother's not too far behind either.
No, that's right. They're twins, born on April the 5th.
In Victoria.
Yep. And they have been bounced around a little bit in this league because they've been in 3 different cities in 3 years. And Paul Gate was in Syracuse as well before he was traded to Pittsburgh, where they were reunited.
Hey.
And then they moved as a unit when the franchise moved to Washington this year.
It's enough. Trying to stop one of them is just about impossible. 2 of them at the same time, it is impossible. That's why I say I don't think you can stop them, but you just got to hope you can slow them down.
10 seconds left to go in the first half, and the ball to be inbound, and play is on. Shot went wide. Rebound is over and back, and it is a Washington ball here. Now with 6.6 seconds left.
Surprised Washington's not pulling their goalie here.
Cantabine outside, rang it wide, rebound in, scores! Or did they?
I think there was time.
Daddy, you step away and stop walking to the ball.
If he scored, he's paying a severe price. Watson on top of him. Dan Ladouceur is there as well.
Paul Cantabine is down hurt.
Cantabine is down and being attended to. And I'm not sure who's underneath. There's Cantabine, and Ladouceur is on top of The Washington player, or the constable, is handing out his own brand of justice here. And who was that?
Oh, buddies.
Green.
Egging on the crowd.
All right. Matt Green. Now, did the goal count?
I think it did. We'll see in a while.
We've got a comment, and there's some finger pointing going on as Ladouceur walks the walk back towards the Toronto bench. And Green is making sure he gets his 2 cents in on the way.
Managed to jump in.
It looked like it went in off Green's foot, but did it go off the post the first time? Let's get another look at it. Here's where Canabine gets hurt.
And the question is going to be, is there time left when Green scores?
Well, there is no video replay in this league.
Here's a look. And the other thing is...
it did go in. Yes, it did go in. That's a better angle. We do see the mesh bulge. Now, did the officials feel that there was time?
I think he did call it a goal. They're too busy talking about the fight right now.
And 7, 2 white, and 5. And then we got 7 red.
Should be number 6.
We got simultaneous fouls for fighting. We got 2 fighting majors. All right.
You got 2 white. You got 5.
2 white, 5 white, and 7, both for fighting.
Pat Coyle, I think they almost gave him the fighting major, and he wasn't anywhere near it.
No.
Ladouceur was in with Green. 7 is Green, not Coyle.
Fine.
The big guy.
So
see the one that was in the fight down there?
But have they decided on the goal?
I think The Rock is hoping to distract them to forget about the goal.
I got an extra 2.
So far, Washington hasn't pressed the issue here.
So it is a good goal.
It's a good goal.
It should be.
But heard the referee just said it's a good goal.
Just go watch them.
Well, they are sorting this out. The teams are heading to their respective dressing rooms. And
I got 2 white, got a minor penalty.
Gary
for hitting
Gate
from
is
behind.
telling his players to move on to the dressing room.
For white, I got a fighting.
Number 6.
2's got it.
David, he's written it down.
All right.
They're still
Number
sorting
6
it out
white.
down there.
It's 5 minutes fighting. Okay.
Les Bartley looking on. And Darius Kilgore at the other bench, waiting to find out exactly what has transpired.
7 red is 5.
Jim Veltman, the captain of the Toronto Rock, and Paul Gate, Gary Gate, down there waiting to see what happens. Let's go downstairs now to Paul Hendrick.
Head coach Darius Kilgore of the Washington Power. I think both teams have sent a calling card to each other. It's going to be a pretty interesting second half.
Yeah, we had to come out and answer the bell, and I think we've done that in the first half. We have to keep matching their intensity. They're a strong team. They're a strong defensive team, and we just have to match that intensity.
The Power are a big physical team. Obviously, you can match up with Toronto's size going the entire distance.
I believe we can, and that was I thought that was an advantage for us, actually, is that we actually have some big offensive players that can put the ball in the net. And, if we keep going to the net hard, we make them hold and we make them work, hopefully we'll be a better shaped team, and we'll come through in the second half.
Thanks for doing this. Good luck in that second half.
Thank you.
Darius Kilgore, head coach of the Washington Power, and they get that big 9th goal to end the first half. Coming up next, the Mountain Dew halftime report.
Introducing the 2001 Hyundai Sonata.
Freedom is calling, yeah!
It comes with the freedom of the Hyundai Advantage, America's best warranty plan, and standard features including air conditioning and power package. With automatic for just $15,499, it all adds up to a great value.
It's everything you get with the vehicle for the price is what builds value.
Freedom is calling, here I am!
Hyundai and the Jimmy Fund, helping kids fight cancer.
From the way companies process information to the way they share information. From the way they create ideas to the way they sell ideas. Secure old customers. Attract new customers. Use devices to extend their business. Leap ahead of someone else's business. At Sun, our technologies power the net for business. We're the dot in .com. What can we .com for you?
HTS in February, packed with power. Wizards basketball. 10 power-packed games in February. Wizards basketball, playing all February long on HTS, the home of the Wizards. HTS in February, packed with power. Capitals hockey.
Always intense on HTS.
The Caps begin the face-off for the division crown and playoffs. Bondra and Oaks drive the scoring. Bondra scores! Well, the greatest goalie on the planet stands on his head. Tremendous stop! We've got the power. Caps hockey packed with power all February long on HTS.
The home of the Capitals.
The Mountain Dew Halftime Report, brought to you by Mountain Dew. Do the do.
Terry Bolin is a high school teacher by day, the Minister of Defense by night, and at age 37, he's not only the Rock senior statesman, he's also a legacy to longevity in the game he loves. Terry Bolin, lacrosse, both then and now, and an auspicious beginning that almost never began back in Detroit.
He's got the foot speed. Dishes off to Bullen, looking for his first, and he does!
You know, it always starts with a lot of hard work, and that's kind of the thing that drives our team is hard work and dedication and teamwork. And that makes it even more special winning, because I'm not sure that we're the most talented team in the league. We probably aren't. But to be able to get a group of guys together and commit and do the things that you need to do to win, it's just a wonderful opportunity. And not too many people in their lives ever have the feeling of being so successful. I actually have a pretty busy life. I got 2 young kids at home, Dexter and Quentin, and that takes up a lot of my time. But I do have to put in a fair bit of time on my own, and you need the commitment of a great family to help me do that. As most of the guys on our team think, they maybe call me grandpa or something sometimes, and they don't even know about those times. I don't really talk about it so much, and I really enjoy the role that I have on this team. And I think one of the strengths of our team is we have so many character guys that are in it to help the team and not worry so much about individual stats. And it's certainly done well for our group of guys on the Toronto Rock. You can see the excitement that this league generates for everybody, and for a person my age, I think it's just amazing to still have an opportunity to play and contribute on the team. Guys like Colin and Caleb and many others have, a great opportunity in the league, and I hope that by playing and being successful in Toronto, we make it a career possibly for these guys. It's a really exciting thing to keep challenging yourself and to continue to play. So yeah, I don't want to say it's the end. I've maybe indicated that I wouldn't be back many times even on this team, and here I am, so who knows?
And welcome back to the Toronto Rock Dressing Room Live. Terry Bolin maintaining focus, you've told me prior to the commercial break, so very important for the Toronto Rock heading into the next 2 periods.
Yeah, it's certainly been a problem, and when you're playing in any team in this league, if you don't cover your man, everybody has an assignment, and we haven't been following through with that. We played good defense, and then at the end, kind of sloughing off, maybe looking for offense, and you pay dearly, and so we have to work on that.
Glenn Clark is definitely not coming back into this game. A suspected broken ankle. You guys are going to have to dig deep, especially the D.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn has certainly been stellar this year. He's been playing unbelievable, and it's going to be a loss. But part of lacrosse is teamwork, and our team's just going to have to look a little bit deeper and do a little bit more.
In terms of Paul and Gary Gate, certainly a much ballyhooed twin couple coming out of Washington. What does Toronto do, or hope to do, at least to contain those guys for the second half?
Well, we've been trying to slow them down, but they've been executing their pick pretty well. And you see even sometimes 2 and 3 guys checking them, and they find a way to get the ball in the net. So we just have to keep working hard on them. And 2 goals isn't a great deal in lacrosse, so we're coming back.
Thanks for this. It's time for Coach Bartley to do his thing. Best of luck in the next 2 periods of play.
Okay, thank you very much.
Terry Bolin of the Toronto Rock. They trail the Washington Power by 2. We'll be back with more from Toronto in just a moment.
Will extra amenities in your life lead to greater happiness? Are 64 crayons in a box better than 8? such a thing as too many cable channels? Avalon, the most luxurious, most refined sedan we've ever created.
Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gate, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
To learn that you will have a life and that the people around you still love you and need you. That's the first big breakthrough. But having made that breakthrough and decided it's worth staying around, you still have the problem of how are we going to make ends meet?
Even if you have health insurance, you need health extras.
A good effective shot that I use on lacrosse is called a reverse backhand. What I like doing is taking my defender, face dodging him, bringing my stick in front of my body, and finishing coming out this way. Now the goalie thinks I'm coming straight down with an overhand shot, and it freezes him for that split second, and I'm basically finishing in the same spot that I was going to go overhand. Now that's a reverse backhand.
The half, it is the Washington Power out in front of the Toronto Rock 9-7 in a hard-hitting first half of action in the National Lacrosse League. We've had some great scoring here, and Kim Squire, who scores in streaks, came up with a couple of very nice goals in that first half.
Yeah, they need Kim scoring, and as I was saying before, he was having problems with his stick earlier, and now you can see he's getting his shooting back because when he's confident enough to take these outside shots, it's through a screen. You know that his stick is working.
And he got a great opportunity there, scored another goal as well, but it's been the Gate show so far. And Paul Gate has shown just as much as his brother has. He comes up with a great shorthanded goal here.
What can you do? You got two guys on him tight, giving him no room. He's on his wrong side of the floor, shoots with one hand the wrong way. And he got some mustard on that shot too.
Gary Gate, meanwhile, has picked up 3 goals.
And this is one of the goals you're going to see. It's a nice scoop pass, but look at the move. He draws Watson out and then just puts it over his shoulder. You have to see that in slow speed to appreciate that one. Here's the matchup of the game. Terry Bullen and Gary Gate. Bullen's worked hard on him, but he needs some more backup.
And sometimes if one guy is just not enough when you've got a talent like Gary Gate working the offensive end of the floor. And so the Toronto Rock trail by a pair as we get set for the second half in front of better than 15,000 at Air Canada Centre.
People only want one thing from their real estate agent. Everything. They want them to be aggressive, unstoppable, warm and friendly, big enough to protect their interests, and small enough to care. A ferocious negotiator averaging more than 13 years experience to weather any storm. And the web savvy to master the world. If that's the kind of real estate agent you wish for, come to RE/MAX.
State Farm can save you up to 30% off their already affordable car insurance rates. In Northern Virginia, these agents are awaiting your call to see if you qualify for the auto discount program. Call today and find out why State Farm is the world's leading car insurer.
HTS in February, packed with power. Capitals hockey, the face-off for the division crown and playoffs is here. College basketball, 40 games on HTS, powered by the men and women of the ACC. Wizard basketball, get charged up with 10 big games. NASCAR. HTS revs you up with expanded coverage. HTS in February, packed with power. And coming in March, catch Orioles grapefruit action on HTS.
Sunday Night Fights on HTS. Pound for pound, the best fighters in the world go toe-to-toe. Witness boxing fury from a ringside seat. Sunday Night Fights on HTS.
The Mountain Dew Halftime Report, brought to you by Mountain Dew. Do the do. There's some of the better than 15,000 on hand, whooping it up at the Air Canada Centre. And blazoned in their tank. Very good at smack. Perfect. The Yamaha game story. Well, you said that Toronto had denied the fast break. I think they've done that pretty much. Minimized the gate's effectiveness. Not sure.
No, the face-offs, they've improved. The power plays, actually, Toronto's hasn't been too good. 1 for 3. Washington's playing a wide-open game. It's their game, according to them. It's a defensive battle, though. And they are drawing the penalties. Hubbard and Shearer, they've got 3 goals between them and a few outside shots. So I think they're doing, for the most part, what they need to do.
The Rock have been credited with a power play goal. One came with 0.6 seconds left in it. So I was remiss to say they had not scored with a man advantage, but that was negated by the short-handed goal that was scored by that man.
The Power's got 3 power play goals and a short-handed goal. Rock's got a power play goal, so they're +3. The Washington team is in the specialty teams, and that's got to hurt. And we can see Paul's not such a bad player himself. 3rd all-time point leader in the league, just behind his brother and John Tavares, and he's led the league in scoring many times. Paul's had problems with his back now and again, and he hasn't been able to get in the same kind of condition that his brother has often because of the back problems. I don't know how he's feeling right now. He doesn't look too bad out there with 3 guys on him and scoring with 1 hand.
We talk about the Gates. Jim Veltman, who has just owned the record book as far as loose balls is concerned. But the Toronto Rock are going to be hard-pressed to start this second half. They're going to be 2-man short as we get a look at shots on goal, loose balls recovered, power plays, face-offs won. But at one point,
it's the power plays that are killing them, Joe. That's the only thing that Toronto's really getting killed on there.
9-7 the score, but they're going to be 2 men short here to start the second half because Ladouceur and Green got 5 minutes each for fighting, but goaltender Watson and Pat Coyle got minors. Watson for roughing and Coyle for checking from behind. 5-on-3, what do you do? Close your eyes and pray because it's pretty tough.
It's awfully tough when you're playing against these guys. There's not much you can do. I think what the Toronto's got to do is try to play. I'm expecting to see an inverted triangle. That means 2 guys at the top, 1 at the bottom, and they have to just charge as much as possible.
That's a goal. Number 88, Derek Graham, has been given a game misconduct penalty as well for that episode at the end of the game.
That's because actually he left the bench. He was an extra man on the floor, and I don't know if you noticed, the referee told him to get back, and he didn't join in the altercation, but he did leave the bench as a 6th man on the floor.
So here is a 9-7 Washington lead.
One more.
And an opportunity for them to really take a bit of a commanding lead here to start this second half.
Hey, Coach.
And I'll tell you why, Derek Graham.
Need 1 more for the goaltender.
You're going to see hear the ref. The reason Derek Graham went on the floor was because Canabine was down and out, and he thought if there was an all-out brawl there, they were going to be outnumbered. I played with Derek's a good, tough player. It's a hard shot, but he adds a bit of toughness to this team, and he's out for the game.
Well, we'll get a look from overhead at the face-off.
All right, hold it. Get up, guys.
I'm glad I'm not that cameraman, Joe.
Yep.
You're set. Okay,
Steve Toll leaning in here to take the face-off. And Tapp has won it and kicks it back, and now Josh Sims gets it up. And quick change out the front door comes the offense for Washington. on the power play and a two-man advantage. Gate back up top. Paul Gate and Gary Gate are up front. A shot stopped by Watson. One of these penalties is his. Paul Gate, shot stopped by Watson, and they tuck it in underneath the Toronto goaltender. Now they can pressure Watson as much as they want, and he really has no other recourse but just to get rid of it. Good stick movement there by Squire to almost intercept. Gary Gate back up. Change again for Toronto. Minute 11 in the penalties. A shot scores! From outside again. This time it is Jesse Hubbard, and it is a 10-7 lead.
Not much you can do there. I think the Rock were just going to let them take the outside shots. Try not to give them anything inside. And here you see Hubbard finds a spot actually between the legs. Let's see another look at it here.
What's on, guys?
Shoots it low between Bob Watson's legs. There's not much you can do.
4 for 4 on the power play for Washington. And coming into the game, the Toronto Rock had the best penalty killing unit in the league, as they had allowed 5 goals and 18 times short.
Score number 16, Jesse Hubbard.
So it is a very big opportunity here for Washington. Partially blocked by Coyle. Knocked out of the stick of Toll. Washington in control again. Misfire on a pass. Bullen crumples his man into the boards, and what a hit that was. Oh my, did Pat Coyle run over his man.
And that was a good hit. I don't know why he called it.
Washington with the ball in a half minute on this power play. Paul Gate and Gary Gate exchange the ball. The shot goes off the goalpost and bounds into the crowd. Here's a look at Pat Coyle and his hit on the far side right here.
The ball is loose, and I don't see anything wrong there. He had his stick on the ball.
Greg McKevra is the one who got filled in. Up against the boards with Squire, but it is Washington ball. He was protecting the ball in too tight to his body.
I think he said he was using the free hand there to push away.
So here is Washington on the attack again. Gary Gate, and out of the penalty box comes O'Connor, and the Rock finally kill off one of the power play opportunities. Breaking through the middle, Steve Toll shoots, and it's stopped by Deli. Great speed there from Steve Toll, and he's got an abundance of it. He split the defense. Gary Gate. Off the referee, it's Bullen who controls, and he'll dish it on to Steve Toll.
He's got no energy left after that last
after that burst, I guess not. Caleb Tote, who plays with the Gates in the summer in Victoria. Caleb Tote trying to backpedal in. Outside, loose ball, Scoop tried to barge to the net, but the Washington Power would have none of it. In against the wall, it's dug out, and out come the Washington Power. 10-7, a 3-goal lead. Much the same situation that befell the Rock to start the game when they were down 4-1, 10-15 into the first quarter. Trying to weave his way through was Jeff Wills, but he could not make a move. And he comes out of the pile finally and throws one over the shoulder. Coyle is upset. Well, don't forget Sports Central Prime Time coming up after the game. The boys will have all of the highlights of not only this event at the Air Canada Centre, but a busy night in sports. And a prelude, of course, to the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday.
Craig Gelsvik is in the penalty box for the Rock.
Penalty box here.
And another power play for Washington. 6th of the game.
Put him in for holding on what I thought was a weak call.
Number 23, Craig Gelsvik, 2 minutes.
Gelsvik for holding, and the Power back on the power play. The 6th time they've had the man advantage. And is there goaltending equipment? Or is it
a little rest for the boys?
It may be. Tim Large has come out to do a little house cleaning to start.
Here you're going to see the penalty. I think this is a very questionable call. You see Gelvik now.
Well, it's here.
What you really can't see from there is that his free hand wasn't wrapped around. He jumped on the guy.
Timmy Large out to help out, get some things done. Hubbard's second tonight, 20th of the year, was on the power play. And it is a 10-7 Washington lead. And the Rock need to get some momentum going. On the floor, Paul Gate to the middle. Had it knocked out of his stick.
Great second effort by Steve Toll there.
Jim Veltman back the other way for Toronto. Decides, nope, not to shoot it. Wound it up, but didn't deliver. Veltman flipping it back. I think if I tried to do that, I'd throw both my shoulders out of my sockets. He wound that thing up, and then in mid-shot, stopped. Hubbard taken into the corner. Flip back out for Danny Stroke. Shot off Daly over top of the net. And a holding call is coming here to Washington. Hugh Donovan is going to the penalty box. The Gate brothers assist on Hubbard's goal, so their scoring continues. Gary Gate has 3 goals and 2 assists. Brother Paul, 2 goals and 2 assists. Here's a look at the penalty.
You're going to see Colin Doyle going to the net, and Hugh Donovan wraps his arm around his neck there, a bit of a hold.
Toth for Kim Squire. Gets a bit of a pick there, and the shot away. And Devin Dolly makes the save. He outlets to Paul Cantabine. Cantabine, who went to Loyola College, was a second-team All-America at that school. Gives it to Hiltz. Joe Hiltz now with the ball. Far side as Washington works 4-on-4 here, trying to get inside. Ball is on the carpet, but dug free. Washington power with it again. Hiltz with a shot, and trying to find it there is Bob Watson, and he does. Quickly back up the floor for Pat Coyle. Coyle tries to take it wide. Had the ball in his stick, knocked out, and quickly back the other way. Now comes Neil Doddridge. Doddridge looking to take the shot. He does. Big rebound in front of the net. And knocked down hard by Coyle is Greg McEvra. He was flattened as the ball was just in his stick, and Pat Coyle's going to get a penalty.
See, this is a terrible call. I didn't see anything wrong with that play.
Say what? McEvra down on the floor, and Coyle heading to the box. It is 10-7 Washington.
How far would you go to protect your children?
Yeah.
Would you run into a burning building? Would you face a charging grizzly bear? Would you drive a minivan?
Toyota Sienna did better overall in Insurance Institute crash tests than any other vehicle. Ever.
Life with you is so sweet. Love makes me.
An important component to shooting is developing quickness. Quickness is developed through hand positioning. You want to make sure you drive your hands forward in front of your body. You want to get the bottom hand up so you can pull, and you want to keep the top hand down so you can maximize the push and pull and develop quickness. That will really help increase your percentage on shooting.
Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gate, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
And
And welcome back to the Air Canada Centre. Dan Lattisaur, it's an uphill fight, but two key phrases from your coach, Les Bartley: dig down, dig down.
Yeah, we're pretty short on the bench right now. Running into some problems, some questionable calls here, so we have a bit of a hole, and we all need to look inside, see what we have to bring here to this second half.
Need for more discipline and perhaps a chance to gamble as well?
Yeah, we can't let down under pressure. We still have to play tough, but yeah, we got to keep our heads and take advantage of all of our opportunities.
All right, Danny, thanks very much. This has been another Molson Export Bench Report. Joe?
Promotional considerations provided by Samsung Digimax cameras and Karcher high-pressure washers. As many of the players receive these gifts, Glenn Clark has a very badly sprained ankle. There is some thoughts that it may be fractured, but he has gone to St. Michael's Hospital. And a major penalty here for Pat Coyle. So Washington has a great opportunity here to enhance the lead, which is 10-7.
And Joe, I really think that was a bad call. I mean, he had the ball, and he gave him a good hard hit. And I think this is something the Rock, they're more used to when they're down in the States and they don't have the Canadian referees. Here they have two American referees and one Canadian, Grant Spies.
Even strength here for just 25 seconds. A shot by Squire goes high. A large rebound goes over the glass and into the crowd.
Hey, have it right here.
And it's
19 seconds left in the Washington penalty. Sorry.
It's not that I'm anti-American, Joe. It's the Americans come up with the field lacrosse system, the American referees, where the Canadians come up with the box lacrosse. So a lot of the box lacrosse hits and stuff they're not really used to, and they're more quick to make a call.
On the body contact.
Yeah, in field lacrosse you wouldn't get away with this stuff, but in box lacrosse it's legit.
And a 5-minute major penalty is a huge chunk of time, and Coyle is in the box. Now short-handed, Toronto 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Good steal there by Stevie Toll. Here's Danny Stroop, and there's no question that the Rock have got to consider trying to go for a short-handed goal.
Well, a kill would be just as good of a momentum swing if they could. A short-handed goal would be a big lift, but even a kill.
Squires with the shot was blocked. Then Squires takes a run over at Travis Kilgore. Here's Gate getting it ahead for Joe Hiltz. Hiltz with a cross-floor pass behind the back, out into the slot for Gate. Paul Gate shot stopped by Watson. Far side for Hubbard. Hubbard with the loose ball. Holds the ball, lets the shot go, stopped by Watson. Watson knocked down. The ball into the goal crease area, and Dan Lattisaur really levels Greg McEvra, who seems to be all right even with the hit that Coyle laid on him that has him in the box for 5 minutes. Here the Rock penalty killing again, and the penalty killing is going to have to be huge right here, a 5-minute major.
And a short-handed goal would be bonus, but even if they could go to the net hard enough to draw a penalty.
Here is Gill.
And that's what's happening.
They've done just that. You're right. Gill holding the ball. Gill in an awful lot of traffic and got one through. And that was stopped by Delhi. So here is this an even up call?
I think it is, and I think it may be a little bit subconscious because I didn't see anything.
It is a holding call, and it goes to Doddridge. So that will even the manpower situation, and then there'll be a 35-second power play opportunity again for Washington coming up at the tail end. Stroop, far side for Squire, over the top. Daly's got the ball. Stroop, and now here's Squire. Nailed. Stroop with it again over top of the goal. Squire got level right in front of the net, losing the stick.
Stroop's been very quiet today, Joe.
Here is Bullen taking his man to the wall. Bullen knocks the stick out of Gates' hand. Loose ball on the floor. Now it's soccer all of a sudden. Neither player had a stick. Paul Gate. With Gary running a screen, and oh, what a hit that was. Bullen running over Gate. And it is Toronto ball. Bullen came right up Paul Gates back.
This is a great hit by Terry Bullen, and this is what I was talking about when I was saying slow him down. At least looks like he missed, actually, but you get a few good hits on him, and hopefully it'll help you with 10 minutes to go in a game.
6:09 left to play in the third period. We have not had a goal since Hubbard's two-man advantage power play goal just wide of the net by Scroot. Colin Doyle having difficulties, kicks it towards the end boards as the horn goes, and now he and Hugh Donovan is shoving and banging into one another, and both are going to get penalties. Fans reacting.
Well, at least he's putting both of them in the penalty box.
Donovan and...
Hey! You're going to see Danny Stroop. He's struggling a bit. He just misses the net. He's got 4 goals so far this year. 28 last year. There's many games last year where he got 4 or 5 in a game. There you can see Donovan was all over Colin Doyle.
Here is Jeff Willis from Baltimore, Maryland. Plays it to the open side, and it is controlled by Hiltz. Pass into the slot area. Ladouceur spins around Hiltz. Ball to the far side. Unable to retrieve it there was Gelvik. Now a bouncing ball in front. Scores over the shoulder. Great goal there. As Shearer makes it 11-7. What a great goal.
This is a fantastic goal. Toronto is playing some good defense here. You're going to see, watch how quickly he picks up this ball.
Hey, still 4-on-4.
You're going to see it's outside shot. Watch him get in. All in one motion. Not a lot of time. And he knows he's going to get pounded.
9:37 the time of the goal for Shearer, his second and his 12th of the year.
That takes great concentration. It's like a receiver in football. He knows he's getting hammered, and he still makes the play.
We've seen some marvelous goals here in the National Lacrosse League over the last 3 years, and that's right up among some of the best. Right there. Great play, taking the hit, knowing you're going to get hit, and still having the presence of mind to get the shot on the net.
And that's his third of the game.
Easy, Neil, easy.
Here's Bullen and Beltman. Now the Rocker a man short for 24 seconds. Chris Gill gets a little fake. No avenue to shoot the ball, though. Tap on him. Greg McKevra checking his man. Squire gets the shot away, but it went wide. O'Connor can't come up with it. And now there's a whistle here.
Right here.
Doddridge is going to have to bring the ball back. And it is turned over to Washington. Gary Gate out of the penalty box. Now comes Ken Millen. So the Rocker back at full strength. But they trail by the largest margin in the game, 4. With 4.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. And the third quarter has been owned here by Washington. They've had some great power play opportunities. They've scored the last 4 goals to take this lead. Off the stick, and there's the time. And brought quickly back up the floor, too quickly up the floor. It'll be brought back. 4:17 left, third quarter. Washington by 4.
Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gate, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
The Toyota Celica. Performance you can use. The Toyota Celica. Performance you can use.
Danny Stroop, a game of momentum. They've got it right now. What offensive adjustments have the Toronto Rock made in this timeout?
Well, we decided we're going to put the ball in the net now. We've been all around it, and it's time to start putting it in. And we got a little bit of a sneak play right now. We're going to pull on them, and hopefully it ends up in the back of the net.
You're due. Good luck.
All right.
Danny Stroop. This has been another Molson Export Bench Report. Joe and Brian.
Molson Export Rock Lacrosse brought to you in part by Yamaha, exceeding expectations. Danny Stroop, a new daddy. His wife Rita at home with Daniela. All 8 pounds of her arrived on Friday. And our congratulations. And now we're going with an extra attacker here by Toronto, and a shot, stop, rebound in front. They're going to have to get goaltender Watson back on, and they do. Watson's going to have to hurry. In front of the net, the shot over top of the crossbar taken by Candavine.
Well, Danny Stroop told everybody we had a little sneak play coming on, and that was it.
Tried to get Watson to the bench without being noticed and have that extra man come right down the pipe.
And the play worked fine. It just didn't finish it off.
Here's a quick break now, and some great running going to the net now is Doddridge, and he scores. Neil Doddridge makes it a 12-7 lead for the Washington Power.
And here you see Doddridge and Squire.
Squire and Doddridge in against the end boards.
When Squire got kicked out for third man in Washington a few weeks ago, that was an altercation with Doddridge. There you're going to see on a turnover some good D, a good loose ball pickup, and Doddridge really puts on the Jets, pulls away from Kim Squire. Just a nice hard outside shot.
Neil Doddridge, a Toronto boy, 31 years of age. He's been in this league 8 years, and he's been under the skin of almost anyone he's played against. Go. And a huge goal for the Washington Power. And to compound it, Squire gets a penalty for grabbing the face mask. So the 9th power play here, and the Toronto Rock are losing their composure a little bit.
They definitely did on that. I mean, that's left over from a few weeks ago.
Here's a loose ball that Jim Beltman has. And Caleb Toth with a minute 37 in the penalty. But they played almost the majority of this third quarter shorthanded. Toth gets it on the net, but it is stopped by Dolly. And he hasn't had an awful lot to do, because Toronto at one point out shooting Washington 32-24. It's now 40-38 in favor of the Toronto Rock.
You're right, Joe. A lot of penalties they've taken.
Here's another one coming this time to Washington. And it is Candavine going into the penalty box. So the Rock will get an abbreviated 32-second power play, but they haven't had one in this half. Here's a chance now for Stroop trying to work out. One hands it back now for Caleb Toth on the far side. Gill trying to get a pick there. Sends it off to Toth. Steps in. Nice feed inside for Stroop, but off his stick. Stroop centers. Toth can't get to it. Grabbed there by Doddridge, and Doddridge is trying to move out. Toth had a pretty good handful of his jersey.
Yeah, that's a very good defense by Washington in that sequence.
Bullen missed Gate with a hit. They switch off. Trying to make the check there now is Gelsvik. Gelsvik and Gate. Gate one hands it back, and hustling back to keep that onside was number 16, Jesse Hubbard. Hubbard has a couple of goals. That shot is a weak one that was deflected, and it is quickly brought back up the floor by Steve Toll. Toll trying to press the issue. Toll tries to get around. No, pulls back, then pays for it. There's going to be a penalty. O'Connor off the bench. Shot wide of the goal. And a good shot taken by Colin Doyle, but he missed the net.
Toronto's been missing on their shots. Dan Stroop said it. They got to start putting them in.
Here's a chance, and a good save made there by Dolly off Beltman. But a penalty, and Toronto is going to get a two-man advantage here in a second's time when Squire comes out of the box. They'll have it for 32 seconds. And here's a look at the penalty.
I think they call this a high stick. Toll is trying to go to the net here.
Right there?
Yeah, the stick slipped up the shoulder a bit. If Toronto's ever going to have a chance, they got to do it now.
Well, they've got to get a goal to start a swing of momentum somehow. Toll. Now to Stroop. There's that move across, but he couldn't get it by Dolly. Stroop again. Out in front for Squire out of the penalty box. Dolly a fine save, and he has the rebound. They've had their chances.
Yeah, that hurts. They really had to score on a 5-on-3.
And Dolly has played exceptionally well. 10. Thrown down the floor, and 1 second remains in Paul Cantabene's penalty. That was a 10-second violation, not getting it across. Now out of the penalty box, Cantabene, and he runs right into Caleb Toth. That was not good clock management. They didn't realize that Cantabene was coming out. Now he's got the ball.
No, and then actually Colin Doyle had the clear shot there. He should have taken it.
Penalty killing the Washington Power. Against the boards. Paul Gate lost it, but he had it coming with him. And it's brought back by Toronto. Pass in now for Bullen, trying to go to the net. Shot was stopped by Dolly. Turned over and brought back by Gary Gate. Being challenged here, a quick glance at the clock to see what's left in the time, and you see it ticking away in the period. Intercepted by Toronto, but no time to get a rush to the other end of the floor as the horn brings an end to a huge third quarter for the Washington Power. Terry Bullen came as close as the Rock would get with this try off the post. It is 12-7 Washington.
If you want to go to the ball game or anywhere in style, call Z-Best Limousines.
Hey, Mike, what about us? You can come to the game in a stylish Lincoln, Cadillac, Jaguar, Lexus, or Mercedes.
If hockey's your game, don't let bad weather stop you. Take a Hummer. Or travel in total luxury in Maryland's only 28-passenger tandem Navigator.
And don't miss the incredible limo showcase every Tuesday.
That's Z-Best Limousines. Call 410-768-1148 for 24-hour nationwide service.
Present for you, Fido, for that nice new car that won't go, and all your car guy says is, I don't know. It's the new Consumer Action Handbook, free from the government. Listen, with this puppy you'll get repairs repaired, wrongs righted. Look, companies, government agencies, names, numbers. Now nobody will treat you like a dog. Call for yours toll-free, 1-888-8-PUEBLO, or log on. It's a consumer's new best friend.
He's been voted the most powerful on-air personality in sports. He's larger than life. He sparked a passion taking the country by storm. And the Sporting News says he's generated more buzz than Oprah Winfrey and Larry King. He's arguably the hippest, freshest, funniest sports talker working today.
You're underpaid. There's no question about that.
That is some serious smack. Jim Rome, The Last Word. Weeknights at 11:30 on HTS. Welcome to the jungle.
Huge everywhere. Tim, it's him.
Everybody just kind of looks at me and thinks I've got a screw loose or something.
Get away from me, get away from me.
You are a sick human being. Pete, do you still gamble?
Sure, but not on sports.
You're a marquee player, but you have never won jack.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that dislike you.
What? The Last Word, weeknights at 11:30 on HTS.
It is all good.
Bill Fox has been kept busy at www.ctvsportsnet.com with a chat with the National Lacrosse League referee. We've had a couple of answers sent out by Bill Fox on rules. Super Bowl reports coming on the Sports Central with Jamie Campbell, Dan Murphy, and Steve Christie all weekend long, building up to the big game on a Sunday. There is Doe Rowe down there. Brad Waters looking on. And Mr. Smith. And they are also involved with the Rebel in Ottawa, as they've had some great crowds in the Corral Center. And the Toronto Rock are in desperate need of a goal here to change some momentum.
And on a power play here.
6 straight goals by Washington.
They really have to put one in here.
Beltman in backhand scores! Colin Doyle! 12-8. And the power play clicks.
We're going to see Colin Doyle is going to put a nice finish on some play here that's set up. He cuts through the middle. Backhand. Usually you see the backhand shot goes to the side you were coming from. That's a little odd. He went for the other corner. Beautiful goal. Colin's got to shoot more. They need some more goals out of him.
Most goals that the Toronto Rock have scored this year, 17 against Ottawa, and you see Colin Doyle trying to get the crowd pumped up a little bit here at the Air Canada Centre. 27 seconds, 22 seconds, the time of the goal. Colin Doyle's second of the game, is 5th of the year on the power play.
That's the first Toronto goal since last half.
Second power play goal of the year for Doyle. And a face-off won by Toronto. Watson dishes it off. Steve Toll bringing it up quickly. The Rock lost Glenn Clark in the first half with a possible fractured ankle. Gill in traffic. Shot off Dolly's shoulder. Ball on the floor. Cleared back for Dolly as the Washington player was triple teamed over there. Doddridge, he gets nailed by 3 players. Heads to the bench. Now you've got to play some defense. Shot scores! Josh Sims from way outside, and a huge goal there for Washington.
And that really hurts for Toronto. They were hoping to just get the momentum back. And just an outside shot.
109. Time of the goal.
It was a good shot. Josh Sims was way out there, way up high, outside top corner.
First goal of the game, 6th of the year for Sims, who is from Annapolis, Maryland. 6'2" and 200 pounds.
Assist number 38, Rodney Tapp.
Both go down. When I say sit, I say down. They're both supposed to go down.
Gets the assist. The Rock, previous to this, had given up 7 or 8 goals a game. In fact, Bob Watson's goals against average was 7.84. Well, they run into some offensive power here in the Washington Power, and a 13-8 lead here in the 4th period. And
Les Bartley's not very happy with the refereeing tonight.
Well, he had sent in criticism of this crew after their game in Washington. And
that's what you get when you criticize the crew. Send them back
again. Yeah.
But I agree that it's a different brand of game, and maybe that's why they've sent them up here, because Washington's an American team. I don't know.
The Rock have this game tonight. Then they're in Buffalo tomorrow against the undefeated Bandits as that goes off the crossbar. And the Rock, who started tonight at 3-1, are going to have a long uphill battle here in this 4th period, trying to make sure that this weekend doesn't end up being 3-3. Great pass down the middle goal. Stopped by Dolly. What a great pass from Beltman to spring Caleb Toth coming off the bench. Oh, he loaded up that pass.
And most guys wouldn't have even attempted that pass. He just drilled that one through there.
Told it to make a good reception, never mind the pass. That thing was like a laser. Behind the back, and a shot goes wide by Matt Green. Hold it. We got to stop back here.
Hold it.
Better bring it back.
You hear the referee saying, hold it. That's, I mean, they should be letting the game go, not slowing it down.
They're going to get you a striped jersey and get you out there. Here's Colin Doyle's shot that was stopped. Squire couldn't intercept the ball. Squire now running at his man, and he got a piece of Dobridge. Now it is Millen trying to press the attack. Changes coming for both teams. Millen over on the far side. The shot stopped by Daly. Big rebound. And the ball goes to the near side, and it will be in Toronto possession. Fresh 30 on the clock. Caleb Toth. Toronto's got to get some offensive flow going. And there's the shot from outside, and it finds the back of the net. Of all the chances, you wouldn't have expected that one to go in.
The Leaf has played really well, made some big saves, and this is, like you say, nothing fancy, just an outside shot by Ryan O'Connor. Then again, very similar to one of Squire's goals from outside through the screen.
So it is 13-9. The Washington Power, if they go back and take a look at their season, realize they can't take anything for granted. They were down by 5 to the Rock in the second half in Washington, and the goal by Paul Gate with 5 seconds left brought them all the way back for a victory. So there's lots of time left if you can find the back of the net.
And the Rock still hasn't really woken up this crowd.
Colin Doyle, far side, in a bounce pass that Toth couldn't handle, and now the Power bringing it right back up the floor. Stolen by Squire. Squire gets around one, but he's 1-on-3, and he decides to pull it up. Squire has it again. Great bit of defensive play there by Kim Squire. 16 seconds on the shot clock. That went wide. Squire into the slot. Still loose on the carpet, and Gary Gate has it. Gate showing the speed that he owns against Beltman. Shot is stopped by Watson. And the ball goes to Toronto as Gate stepped inside the crease. Timeout on the floor with 11 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. A timeout has been called by the Washington Power and Darius Kilgore.
Watch the strength of Gary Gate here. And Jimmy Veltman, you're going to see, he wants to dictate to Gate which way to go. He wants Gate going to the left there. And Gate doesn't want to go. He stops, gives Jimmy a little push. You see the strength. He got called for the pushing with the free hand. Watch this laser of a pass. Through 2 guys. Most players wouldn't even attempt that pass. That's beautiful.
You see Jimmy Veltman do that game in and game out. He has...
And you're right, it was just an effort to catch that one.
What? I mean, Toth came roaring off the bench, and Veltman spotted him and lasered it to him. 8-time All-Pro, loose balls 1,120 and climbing, and the next closest all-time is about 300 loose balls behind him.
That's right. They should name a trophy after him for that award.
And the crowd getting revved up a little bit here at the Air Canada Centre. Tickets available, and you can call the Toronto Rock hotline, 416-596-3075 for all of your ticket information. Bring your group down. It's a lot of fun. And you really have to be here to see it, to believe it. Colin Doyle, his 3rd goal, and all of a sudden it's a 3-goal differential.
And not only that, he's really getting the crowd into it now. You saw after his last goal, he was trying to rev up the crowd from the bench. Oh, this will put a little bit of pressure on. Here you're going to see Here you're going to see it. Doyle gets the ball here inside. That's his game. And when Colin Doyle is feeling confident in shooting, it really helps the offense.
4:04, the time of the goal. You can remember a number of big games that this guy has won.
And you know, really,
one where he was on the seat of his pants.
And it was against this franchise too, as they were in Baltimore. He scored a lot of big goals against these guys.
His 6th of the year, 3rd of the game. And it is a 13-10 Washington lead. But every trip down is important, and Bob Watson gets a piece of that.
That was a big save.
Toronto brings it right back up the floor. Lead pass for Cole. Cole trying to haul it in, and he does. Off the bench comes Colin Doyle. If he's hot, give him the ball.
Exactly, he wants it now.
Here's Colin Doyle, faking. Doyle, behind the back, inside shot, rebound! And it's stopped by Dolly, or did it go in? We're down, taking a close look at this.
Chris Gill doesn't want to leave the area. He says it went in.
Here's another look at it. You be the judge.
Let's see.
Here's the shot. I think Dolly made a huge save. He's got it in his hand. Great save.
That was a glove save. You don't see too many of those in lacrosse. Watch this glove come up.
He dives across to get his body across the goal and makes the save.
Gill stood over top because he wanted to see where that ball was when he got up.
Still 3-goal lead. And a chance for 4. And a great goal there by, guess who? Gary Gate.
This is a really nice pick thrown. It's impossible to cover him here. This is what you got to try to stop them setting up. But once it's set up, you're going to see. You're going to see it from the other end. Now you watch. Terry Bullen is trying to chase Gate, but he has to run around to pick there. There you're going to see it develop. Okay, Terry Bullen's going to cover Gate up high, and the pick comes down. Bullen has to step around, and with Gate's speed, it's impossible to cover him.
His brother had scored 2. Gary Gate decided he better get back on the sheet. He has his 4th goal of the game, 21st of the year, and it is again a 4-goal Washington lead.
The Rock really has turned it around on the faceoffs. Seem to be winning every faceoff now.
Off to the side, 9:39 left. There's lots of time left, but you've got to start turning the ball over and getting some offensive chances that produce goals. Back the other way for Hubbard. He was stood up there. Pat Coyle lifted him right off his feet. And is he getting a penalty? No, just turned over.
Oh, I think he is.
High sticky.
High stick. I'd like to see that again. Pat Coyle's doing his best not to say anything.
He's trying. Doyle with the goal, but down by 4.
The newly restyled Toyota 4Runner can take you places other vehicles can't, which could necessitate bringing along some additional equipment.
To learn that you will have a life and that the people around you still love you and need you. That's the first big breakthrough. But having made that breakthrough and decided it's worth staying around, you still have the problem of how are we going to make ends meet?
Even if you have health insurance, you need health extras.
Washington is the power center of the world. Symbols of power are visible everywhere. Now the new power in Washington looks like this. Gary Gate, the greatest lacrosse player ever, brings his new Washington Power indoor lacrosse team to the MCI Center. Call toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX for the best season ticket value in sports. Speed and bone-crushing action, all at affordable prices. Call now or visit WashingtonPower.net for individual and season tickets. The Washington Power, toll-free 1-866-POWER-LAX.
Les Bartley, a tough road to hoe here in the second half, and with all due respect to the officiating, it's been going the other way as opposed to this way, and it's put you people behind the so-called 8-ball.
Yeah, we haven't got a lot of breaks out there tonight. We haven't helped ourselves in the offensive zone here. But you know what? There's still 9:24 left, and we're going to try a few things yet.
All right, Les, thanks very much. It's back upstairs to you, Joe. This has been a Molson Export Bench Report.
14-10 Washington.
Les is trying to be positive, but that was a brutal call. You saw the play while Les was talking there. That was a good hard hit. Nothing wrong with that. Patty Coyle spoke about his reputation, and that's what they're looking at. Every time he makes a good hit, they want to call him.
4 of 8. Washington on the power play. They get a fresh 30 off that shot from Gary Gate. And right now, they're as concerned about ticking time off the clock as they are of extending their lead. Gate to the middle, flipped it in on goal. Ladouceur shoves his man into the wall. Washington ball. Hiltz takes it out at the top and over for some thoughts from the bench. Falling on him. Gate at the top. Off. A bad pass, 2-on-1 Toronto, out of the front door on a pretty good change. Wow. Veltman is knocked down, shot goes wide of the net. I'm not so sure about that change.
You're right, it's a pretty good change.
There was a 2-on-1 and all of a sudden it was a 2-on-2.
But you see, Joe, the refs weren't watching that.
That was a brutal change. It was a great change for Washington.
Great change if you can get away with it.
Yes,
but
it was.
I think the more experienced box lacrosse referees are watching the bench on that, and they just got away with one.
Wow. Now here's Washington back on the power play, 18 seconds. The Gate brothers have put on a show. Veltman scoops the ball up, lofting it ahead for Chris Langdale. Great pass. Can he finish? No. Daly has the shoulder in the way.
What a play by Veltman getting that loose ball.
Penalty is over. Coyle out of the box. And Paul Cantabine got 2 minutes of pent-up frustration run into him right out of the box.
The referees better hope Pat Coyle doesn't get the ball in his stick. He might want to throw it at them.
Gate in the corner.
Not that he would ever do that. Joe.
A shot stopped by Watson. So now, with 6:59 to go, time becomes a very big factor. 14-10. Pass for Colin Doyle. And the Rock are going to have to pull out all the stops. Shot stopped there by Dolly. And it is cleared back. And now the Washington Power bring it up. Pat Coyle has his stick being latched onto. This is Doddridge playing it back. And now what? We got a whistle.
Got too many men?
Too many men. White.
Go ahead, call it.
Too many men on the floor.
Got the ball.
Here's a look at the pass from Jim Veltman.
It's the loose ball pickup. It was unbelievable. Picks up that loose ball before he hits the ground. He makes that pass right on the money.
But it is chances like that that had to be buried. The Toronto Rock are being assessed yet another penalty. This time for too many men on the floor. O'Connor goes into the penalty box.
At this point, Joe, with 6 minutes to go, if they get the ball, they have to go to the net.
For 2 minutes on the floor.
I did not see it. I don't know if it was a bad change or what. But this is the 10th power play for Washington. They have scored 4 times, and that bounces wide and goes into the crowd. It'll be Toronto ball.
And I've criticized the refereeing tonight, but
here's a long pass and a shot. Scores! Danny Stroke on a huge play from inside the Toronto zone.
that was a fantastic pass. We're going to see right from his own end, Steve Toll. Long bomb pass. Stroop puts it in.
His first goal of the game, his 5th of the year. And Danny Stroop scores short-handed for Toronto. Now another chance. Toll can't get to it. Kicked by Ladouceur, but it's brought back, and another penalty is coming to Toronto. Another penalty coming to Toronto. The goaltender is out. A shot is stopped by Watson.
Number 2. Cross-checking.
Coyle for cross-checking. Well, crew chief Dave Berman
2 minor penalty cross-check
of Boston has had Pat Coyle
I'll tell you.
wear out a path to the penalty box.
I was always taught cross-checking was legal in lacrosse.
I'm not picking on him. Well, that's tough shit.
There's a little extra discussion on the penalty.
I was just about to say, Joe, that
was the call. Now, lacrosse has a lot different rules about cross-checking than maybe hockey does. But a lot of that is certainly, and we've seen it over the years, that.
You know what, Joe? I was going to say, the refereeing in this league has improved a lot. It used to be like this on a consistent basis. It was very frustrating for the Canadian teams. This is what it was like a few years ago.
Jim Veltman is voicing his displeasure. I'm sure Bill Fox must be getting a few emails in from folks
just
on
reset the penalty with 5-on-3.
I'm sure they'd be looking for Bill Fox. I'd be quite happy to have him out here now. I never thought I'd say that, but
no, don't say that. 11th
like
power
Bill.
play of the game for Washington. And another 5-on-3. This is the second 5-on-3 that Washington's had. They've had a 5-minute major to work with. So they have certainly had the benefit of the officiating here tonight. But they have certainly responded to it when they've had the opportunities. And Hubbard adds to the total to make it 15.
Yeah, and you still have to score when you get the power plays, but 5-on-3s, awfully tough to stop.
Second goal, third goal of the game for Hubbard. And his 21st of the year.
He leads the league in goals and in power play goals.
The Gate brothers assist on the goal. And now another power play opportunity. And throwing his stick and crashing down there was Bullen. Now he's without a glove and a stick. He'll go back and get his stick and his glove. Washington content to work the outside and tick the clock down with 4:40 to go. Pass goes high. The Toronto Rock have lost just 1 game on their home floor since they moved to Toronto. They may be just 427 away from their second.
Step away, Jimmy, you got nothing.
I tell you, there's not much chance to come back when you're short-handed.
1:04 to go in this penalty. The Rock have scored 1 short-handed goal. Veltman stuck his knee out. And interference there as he trips down.
And that was interference, but the Rock is getting a little frustrated now, and the refs will really have their work cut out when everybody gets out of the penalty box. And if this game is out of hand, That's when you let out your frustration.
Well,
and you earn some penalties.
Toronto ball, Veltman bringing it up. 3:58 to play in the fourth period. Doyle tried to loft it inside for Kim Squire. That didn't work. And Dolly now is being congratulated here with 3:47 to play. And Squire's getting a penalty.
Shot over here, guys.
Wow. I don't know what that was for.
I think he must have made contact with the goalie.
And that was, he made contact with Dalib's stick.
They're going to see. Well, I didn't really see it there. I think that's what he's calling.
Goaltender interference.
Yeah, at this point, you got to give him a break.
Well, there's no breaks to be had, and at this particular point, the Toronto Rock really haven't built themselves any.
No, but
they had the situation where the Washington Power scored 6 straight goals in the second quarter and the start of the third.
Joe, watch what happens when Pat Coyle comes out of the penalty box, and I don't blame him for what he might do.
Well, he is a frustrated individual. Here's Doddridge scoring. Doddridge motioning the crowd to quieten down, and some of them are heading for the exits. But a frustrating night for Bob Watson.
I got it.
The Washington Power and Darius Kilgore enjoying a road victory seeming in the making. And Neil Doddridge has his second goal of the game.
Here he gives it to the fans.
Dalib is going to get an assist on that. There have been 84 minutes in penalties assessed, 53 of them to Toronto, 31 to Washington, 11 power plays for the Power, 5 for Toronto. The Power have had 3 two-man advantages and scored 3 goals during that span.
Okay, guys, both out.
So if you're Coach Les Bartley, you feel that you have been getting the raw end of the deal, I suppose. Well, right now, there's no question.
To be honest, it's mostly referee Roy Condon that they don't want to see again.
Here's the Power again with the ball and a 5-goal lead, the biggest advantage they've had in the game. And they're enjoying this.
Well, the only thing the Rock has to be careful about is they play tomorrow now.
Shot stopped by Watson. They've got the Buffalo Bandits in Buffalo, who are 3-0. And Coyle is out of the penalty box. 2:38 left. And the Washington Power lead by 5.
Ever wonder how to get a gig like this? By the Learn by Doing hands-on training that has placed thousands from coast to coast. Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting. 1-800-TV Radio. How did these people get the best seats in the house? By the Learn by Doing hands-on training that has placed thousands from coast to coast. Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting. 1-800-TV Radio.
Welcome back to the Air Canada Centre. Pat Coyle, the officiating tonight, basically dictating you to redefine the way you play the game of lacrosse, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. You know, I get a 2-game suspension and lose 2 games pay. Who's going to get fined tonight? You know, like the refs don't get fined. So I don't know, man. It's really frustrating. I really don't know what to do.
So when you go back out there, are you going to lay back again? As you say, it's just one big question mark.
No, I'm going to go play like I play. You know, it's not like, you know, I think the video probably shows that I'm not really doing anything. You know, if anything, it's making these refs look bad. But I mean, we're losing. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what's going on with the refs. I mean, we're losing. That's all that matters.
That's the bottom line. Thank you. Let's go back upstairs to Joe Boy.
A frustrating night, and Sports Central with Peter Labardius and Mike Toth will have all of the action on this game and all of the action action in the world of sports, the NHL, as well as the Super Bowl. And Patty Coyle, I think he held his temper pretty well in that interview with Paul, but he certainly stated it the way he feels.
Yeah, and the way a lot of us feel. I mean, we've seen the replays of some of his penalties have been worse than questionable. I mean, that last one was a non-call. The one before that was a good hit. It was at least 3 times he's gone to the penalty box on very, very questionable calls.
Well, there is no question that the Toronto Rock were successful in winning 2 World Championships back-to-back because of tough physical play that, for the most part, was allowed to go on by officiating that either knew the box lacrosse game a little better, maybe, or for whatever reason, were allowed to play that style.
And it's not that he's been playing dirty lacrosse today. He's just making good hits.
Hitting from behind.
And another penalty now. This one...
I got hitting from behind, minor penalty.
Hitting from behind.
I got a minor penalty on 43 for hitting from behind.
And it's going to Hugh Donovan.
First foul, they get the ball, we stay.
There you're going to see it. Even that's not too much.
Here it comes right at you. Get an elbow into the glass. A hit on Gill.
Well, you can't take anything away from Washington Power. They've been given the power plays and they've taken advantage of it. So,
but the whole idea when you play a team that has the Gate brothers is you got to stay out of the penalty box.
You're right.
And when a situation dictates that you literally can't stay out of the penalty box, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. As we take a look at the standings. And tomorrow night, the Buffalo Bandits entertain the Toronto Rock.
And Buffalo has been firing on all cylinders. They've really been scoring a lot of goals. It'll be interesting. Tavares, Derek Malowski's getting a lot of points, former Ontario Raider.
Put 10 seconds back on.
Now, Zelt.
Hey, Gilly, on the ball. Thank you.
Too many men on the floor to the Rock. Jim Veltman's going to serve that.
What's here?
They've got too many men on the floor again.
There goes Watson.
1, 2.
A shot. I think you might be right. They dive in, but it'll be in the goal crease. It won't count. Tim Squire diving in.
Look at Colin.
Get one.
Colin Doyle is starting something here with. I think it's Canabine.
Yep. Paul Canabine and Doyle with words. These two teams will finish their season series, and the Washington Power will be in a very solid position, having won both. 2:12 left to play.
And the Rock is in a tough position, too, because they've got a game tomorrow. They can't take any suspensions or lose any players.
Here's Washington with the ball. 5-on-5. This ball is controlled by Pat Coyle. Still on the carpet. And Ladouceur goes charging in there. The sticks come out swinging. Long lead pass. Terry Bullen is stopped by Dolly. Lost in a lot of this has been the play of Devin Dolly.
He's played very well.
He has been just excellent. And the young man who played with the Victoria Shamrocks in the Summer League out west has come into this game with a record of 2-1 and a 14.92 goals against average, and he's allowed the Toronto Rock just 11. And you think of some of the breakaways that they've had
at key times. You talked about Bobby Watson makes big saves at key times. Well, that's what Devin Dolly has done today. When it looked like Toronto was going to gain some momentum, he shut the door.
Power with the ball and the lead, 16-11. Lead pass, Gary Gate. What a night he's had.
Look at the strength.
Down in the corner is Terry Bullen. He is slow to get back up again, and he's limping. It has been a very tough night for the Toronto Rock. Bullen limping off for the second time in the game. Glenn Clark may be lost for an extended period of time. And here the Washington Power leading by a score of 16-11.
And Terry Bullen is looking like he's hurting a bit. They might have to go to the reserves tomorrow.
Rod Squire has not suited up yet as a diving play for a goal by Gill. 16-12. Chris Gill gets his third of the night.
Nice dive across, shooting for the short side.
10th of the year, his third of the night for Chris Gill.
Number 33, Ken Millie Millen, and number 17, Steve Dole.
Canabine lost his glove in the face-off scrum. Less than a minute to go in the fourth quarter.
Washington would be wise just to keep the ball to the outside to stay out of the trouble.
Yep.
Although I don't think the Rock will get into much with a game tomorrow. Right now, this is a write-off. Try to get 2 points tomorrow.
Here's Caleb Toast trying to come away with the ball. Toast and Pat Coyle up there. Toast winds it up and scores. Boy, that was very reminiscent of the goal he scored to win the championship a year ago from almost the exact same spot.
Exactly. He's got a great shot.
16-13, the score, and then when you look at the penalties, you realize the difference in this game.
Well, as you said, Joe, they scored 3 goals with a 2-man advantage. I mean, the Rock really kept in this game considering all the penalties.
So Caleb Toth opened the scoring in this game, and he may very well close it. His second of the game and his 10th of the year. 11 seconds remain to be played. The folks at Sports Central standing by for the conclusion of this match. They'll be along with all of the highlights coming your way.
If you want to see a good game, Joe, go to Buffalo tomorrow. This should be a really good one. Buffalo has built their team on all offense. Instead of trying to follow the Rock style, they think they can outgun teams, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Here's Coyle unable to get a loose ball. The time will tick away. And the Washington Power are going to celebrate a big win on the road. The final score is the Washington Power 16, the Toronto Rock 13. Just the second loss in franchise history while they've been in Toronto. So a big night for Gary and Paul Gate, but Devin Dolleep, the goaltender, was outstanding in a 16-13 win.
Molson Export Rock Lacrosse, brought to you by Molson Export. Had X today? By the new Chevy Silverado Heavy Duty by Chevy Trucks. And by McDonald's. We love to see you smile.
Well, a tremendous victory for the Washington Power here in Toronto this evening as they go to 5-2 on the season, and the Toronto Rock drop to 3-2. Our next telecast will be February 9th as Philadelphia will come to the Air Canada Centre to take on the Toronto Rock. Until then, I'm Paul Hendricks saying so long on behalf of Joe and Brian. We'll see you in February when the Rock takes on Philly.